Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to Scoutcast Matchday. It's me and Seb again. Very excited to bring you a big game of football today. We've got United and we've got Chelsea and we've got loads of FPL assets to discuss. Seb, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It was a really difficult one to pick a Scoutcast Matchday fixture this week because, of course, we want to pick the best football games, but we also want to pick games with the most amount of FPL assets. And perhaps this wasn't the one with the most amount of FPL assets, but it definitely was for me the most intriguing game. And we saw
Oh
some
yeah.
great battles last year between Chelsea and United, so I'm hoping we'll get the same this time round.
I feel as well like you don't necessarily need to actually hold the assets right now for it still to be informative for FPL.
Yeah,
Someone like Chelsea, for example, there are legitimately four, five options we could pick. So a match like this, I've got Chilwell, but I'm almost more interested to see how does Havertz do, how does Werner do, does Ziyech come on, how does Reece James do, because that'll inform my decisions in the coming weeks, whether
yeah,
or not I hold them now.
yeah. I'm so with you. So you've got Chilwell, and you've got two players.
I've just got Chilwell.
You just got Chilwell. Okay.
Yep.
So I had Reece James and I had Timo Werner the week before last, and both have gone. So I don't have anyone in this game, but I'm definitely scouting. I'm scouting Telles at United, as well as, of course, always eyes are on Bruno and Rashford. And then for Chelsea, I'm scouting, Chilwell, perhaps a bit, Mendy and Thiago and Zuma could, if Chelsea keep a clean sheet, they could become part of your thinking. And then obviously the attacking players like Pulisic and Havertz and Werner, we've always got our eyes on as well, right?
You say Tellez for United.
Is he
Yeah, I
not in the
don't think
starting 11?
he's not starting. He's not on the bench either.
Ah, okay. So he played in the week, didn't he?
Mm.
And he played well in the week. So yeah, maybe he picked up a knock. So run us through the team, Seb. If you're looking at him, I'm guessing I know it's a back four for United and a back
So
three for Chelsea.
yeah, Man United looks like a back four. De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, and Luke Shaw. Scott McTominay and Fred Holding with Juan Mata, Bruno Fernandes, Dan James, and Marcus Rashford up front. So I think you could say there's probably two or three players in there that either are being rested or saved for midweek. And then Chelsea, which appears to be a back three, you've got Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Zuma making up the three. Ben Chilwell and Reece James at wing back. Jorginho and Kante in the middle. Kai Havertz and Pulisic off Timo Werner up front.
Yeah. What are your predictions today? Because obviously we've not seen this from Chelsea this season, but when they did play the kind of 3-4-3 last season, it was to good effect. And Frank got to the point where the only way of us ever keeping clean sheets was with that formation. Ironically, we just kept a clean sheet. And I say we, I am a Chelsea fan, not wearing the shirt on purpose today because I knew I'd get loads of stick. Behind me. But ironically, they kept a clean sheet against Sevilla with the back four, and now he's changed it. Is that to counter the sort of pacey United attack?
You've got to be thinking it is, but then looking at United's lineup with Mata and Dan James wide, presumably both of which will either come inside or I mean Dan James is quick and everything, but I think he's got some developing to do before he'll worry too many people. And then Marcus Rashford up front, who you'd imagine will pull left. I'm not sure if it's needed. Maybe it was anticipating a stronger lineup from United, but maybe it's just he wants to get those players in the team. You're away from home. It is versus a big club, which I think you played the three at the back a few times against the larger clubs last year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe it's just returning to something that's familiar and has worked.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Guys, loads of you are joining us. Hello to Kev Mack. You will be keeping us up to date, Kev. I know you will be with all the goals quicker than anyone sees them. Mahit's in. Hello, mate. Fox in the box. The loyal one, Murphy, Phil, FPL Rubber Ducky. How are you all? Hope you're all good and looking forward to a very good game of football. Let us know your predictions in the chat. Always keen to know who you guys think is going to win today. My prediction is goals. My prediction is also that Chelsea are going to sneak it. I just feel like this formation might actually suit Chelsea, and I think Reece James is going to have loads of joy down the right, and hopefully for FPL managers, Chilwell down the left too. And then I'm looking forward to seeing Havertz, Pulisic, and Werner as a three, which we've not seen yet. What are you thinking, Seb? Am I being optimistic, over optimistic because I'm a Chelsea fan and I'm a believer, or do we look at these team sheets and go, no, Chelsea might have the edge here?
I want to say, and looking at it, I fancy Chelsea, but then we've seen this a lot, right? Both
Yeah,
from Chelsea and Man United, where Chelsea can flatter to deceive. Maybe one of the bigger problems is solved. They've got Mendy in goal today, so you fancy those low percentage chances may not go in as easily as they have done in the past. But I look at that Man United lineup and it does not impress me at all. There are genuinely maybe three players in that lineup who I would qualify as Manchester United players in that, very tired rhetoric.
Yeah.
But then we've seen this in the past, and we'll see Dan James, put 2 across the face of goal for Marcus Rashford. Bruno will score a penalty. Luke Shaw will put 1 in for Juan Mata to tap in, and it's 4-1. They seem to, whether you believe Solskjaer is a good manager or not, he certainly is the player's friend, and maybe that counts for these matches. They've just, put in a good result against PSG.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The kind of, as you say, the United haven't been impressive, and I look back to last weekend against Newcastle, 85 minutes gone. It's a draw. It looks like it's gonna end as a draw. Bruno is on 0 points. He ends with, 11, 12, 13 points? A double-digit haul for Bruno, who was on 0, 85 minutes. And I posted today on Twitter something like, all the Grealish owners are moaning that Grealish didn't get a point. But we've all had players hit the post and miss chances. And I said, who's your biggest troll this season? And someone commented saying, Bruno, can't believe he only got me 12 points last week against Newcastle. He should have scored had a penalty. He should have scored a disallowed goal. And I'm thinking, dude, 5 minutes to go. You were on 0 points. Count yourself lucky. But that is the typical FPL manager mindset that we always just feel. They always just feel hard done by. And I know there'll be loads of you in the chat today with Palace defenders and obviously conceding a very late goal to Crystal Palace. Seb, you had Guaita, did you?
I did, and I was counting those points. They were already in the bag.
Oh, yeah. So I've got Mitchell as my first sub, who might come on because I've got Kilman in my starting 11, and we don't know if Kilman's going to play. But look, I mean, Michael Healy says, Gianni, I should replace Sutton on BT. Thank you, mate. Usually I get a lot of hate in the chat, but that is a very nice comment from a Michael Healy. You can watch again. Yeah.
Just to say, we've had kickoff here as well. We're a minute in.
What minute are you on, Seb? I'm on 1:32.
Oh, you're slightly ahead of me. I've got 1:31, 32, 33 just now.
Get
nice.
in!
How have you managed that one?
I don't know. I've never been ahead of you. Do you know what? Usually we're watching these games on BT Sport because for the last few times we've done this, we've done the early Saturday game. And now I'm watching through a Now TV login. So maybe my Now TV is better than your Sky or better than your Now TV. Yet your BT is obviously better than mine. So I'm ahead of you. That would be nice.
No pressure, mate. But we're relying on you, yeah, for the up to date information on the match.
Yeah, exactly. As well as reading the chat as I am. Roy says Man United, Roy Cuffey, are the luckiest team in the Prem. Now look, there'll be loads of United fans watching hating that. But as someone that's not the biggest fan of United, luckiest team in the Prem might be a little too generous, but they're definitely up there.
You make your own luck, don't you? I mean, yes, there's a bit of fortune, but when isn't there? If you're set up in a certain way, it's going to fall your way more often than not. I feel like you see, let's say last week with the result for Manchester United, I feel like they often flatter to deceive and then pull it out in those last few moments or whatever, not necessarily because of the way they're set up, but because of circumstances and the players they have. It feels a little bit undeserved, a little unjustified, but if they keep doing it, there's got to be something there. Mm-hmm. They are, whether they're deliberately playing for it or whether it falls into their hands, I'm not sure. It doesn't give me massive faith in terms of FPL or maybe even being a Manchester United fan, but you have to pay respect to the fact that Bruno keeps returning these penalties. Yeah. Rashford, is quick on the break, no matter what that means, whether that's against a team that's coming onto them or when they're sitting back, there are chances there.
Yeah. What do you reckon to the United sort of players we should be looking at in FPL, Seb? Because you mentioned earlier there's only sort of a handful of big names that we kind of see as Man United players, and I'm with you on that. But in terms of FPL assets, those that are the likes of Rashford and Bruno and you could argue Maguire, on their day are as good as anyone in this game, right? They're very explosive players, and this season their prices are fairly good as well. Rashford, if he's going to play up front more, listed as a midfielder at, 9.5 million, he could be a steal, couldn't he?
Quite possibly. I mean, he's up front while they've got players out injured, although we know Martial might come and go. Yeah. I had Martial early in the season, and that probably went the same way as it did for everyone.
Me
Not
too.
So well. We know that Bruno Fernandes has got the points, right? But he's priced to match it. And I think the thing that makes me uncomfortable might be the wrong word, but the thing with Bruno Fernandes is penalties don't feel predictable. So if that's his main source of points, you maybe feel like relying on them to get your points is not something that gives you the same faith as, say, a Kevin De Bruyne, who will have, he's a million more or so.
Yeah.
But he gets chances from all over the place. There's so many ways to score points. Yeah. Or just to say, Chelsea breaking into the area, it looks like a clean tackle.
Yeah, it did. And who did, that's Pulisic wearing the number 10 shirt. He looks like Hazard. the way he runs and dribbles with the ball, and now he's wearing the number 10 shirt, and it's we've not seen him much this season, but seeing him dribble into the box off the left in the 10 shirt, yeah, that gave me a nice warm feeling. So come on, Pulisic, let's do something. And Chelsea just before that to create that chance, where they let Chilwell through on the left, the play out the back was outstanding. Little triangles between Kante, Jorginho, Azpilicueta, very confident and assured passers of the football.
That's on, isn't it? That ball from Chilwell just there down that in between the centre backs with Werner pulling off left. That definitely feels on.
Yeah, and centre back pairing today, we've obviously got Maguire back in the team. He's paired. I've not seen the 11, but I'm guessing it's with Lindelof. Is it, Seb? Is he?
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah.
So we've got Wan-Bissaka right back, Luke Shaw left back. Who Luke Shaw needs to up his game. He's been poor in recent weeks, and obviously Tellez we know will be first choice. But then maybe Luke Shaw has got a chance in this team if Solskjaer does what Frank's done today and does shift towards a back three. Tellez as a wing back and Luke Shaw as a left centre back. Luke Shaw seems to look a little bit more comfortable in that role. But look, United, probably like Chelsea, aren't going to, I don't think, play that system too many times. Although, if Chelsea go and have a worldy performance today, maybe we see that more. But the problem with the back three means your fullbacks are wing backs, which means you can have one less attacking player. And Chelsea have already got a huge amount of options up there. So today we're seeing no Mason Mount. Now this is very rare for Chelsea not to play Mason Mount in a big football game, but there's very few options. Where do you put him in? You can't play him in a midfield two, and then do you want him as one of your front three? You wouldn't want to drop Pulisic or Havertz on current form. So
exactly, I think a lot of people early season and pre-season were talking about how do Chelsea line up, and I got involved in that myself, trying to predict 4-2-3-1s and 4-3-3s. I think the real answer is rotation.
Yeah.
Especially with the cram schedule, especially if they're remaining in cups in Europe. They have the players to play, 1, 2, 3 different systems with entirely different attacking lineups.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen the 4-2-3-1 and Havertz playing really well from the number 10 role. Today we're going to see him from the right, I expect. But again, in his time in Germany, Seb, I know you had a close eye on him in Germany. He was playing between either a 10 or right of a midfield 3 or right of a right-sided forward. So he does naturally like to drift right, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'd say he probably first came to prominence. If we have anyone who follows German football, please give us some information as well. But from what I saw, he came to prominence playing mostly off the right for Leverkusen, but of course drifting into those spaces and playing how we know he plays. He then moved to number 10. And then last season, especially during that time when the Bundesliga was the only league back and we were all watching that, Kevin Volland was injured. I think Lucas Alario was injured as well. Yeah. Volland's now gone off to Monaco, I think it is. And so Havertz was playing that false 9 role. He was dropping in, but was crucially actually getting on the end of stuff
Scoring
as well.
A lot of goals with it, wasn't he?
Absolutely. He was taking penalties too as well, which is something to keep in mind. But I think the main takeaway is that wherever he's played in that team, when he started on the right, he was more of the assister and has become the goal scorer. But the last 2 seasons, wherever he's played, he has become a focal point and he has scored goals. So as long as he can get into that sort of number 10 false 9 position, which he can easily today with Reece James going round and and Timo Werner probably pulling wide, there's room for Havertz to be central. In fact, if you look now, I would say he's you'd see a number 9, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've just seen Scott McTominay, by the way, giving the ball away cheaply twice. McTominay probably does deserve his starting place today, and he's been good in the last couple of weeks when he's played. But with the conditions, we're probably going to see possession lost more than usual. But we're also, I think, with the conditions, hopefully we're going to see managers encouraging their teams to shoot from distance because, whilst De Gea and we don't know too much about Mendy, but you'd expect those two to be fairly safe pairs of hands. In these conditions, who knows? If that ball bounces in front of a goalkeeper, you just don't know where it's going to go. I've just seen a close-up of Frank Lampard and you can see the rain. It is absolutely pouring in Manchester.
For anyone who's not watching and watching us, first, bless you. And secondly, it really is. This is probably the wettest match we've seen so far this season. Every close-up, like you say, everyone is absolutely drenched.
Yeah, and
that ball is going to skip around.
And the drainage at Old Trafford, I'm sure, is pretty good. But even when I'm seeing defenders knocking the ball around, you can see the ball isn't it goes from, when you see a wet pitch, it's quite nice because you see the ball skidding off and it improves the passing at times. This is a soaked pitch. This ball is being slowed down by the water.
What you don't see on TV, Old Trafford, the pitch is quite, I guess, domed, to say the best. It really falls off towards the touchline.
Yeah.
You sometimes see players going massively into the ad boards there. This feels like one of those days, I'm not saying injuries, I really hope not, But if you're playing balls into those spaces, those wide channels that Chilwell might do to Timo Werner, it's either potentially going to pick up too much pace and not be able to be caught, or more promisingly, that might really skip away from a defender and just give you that extra yard to get something you normally wouldn't get.
Yeah. Guys, if you're listening to us, you're probably not listening to Gary Neville, which is great. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure many of you are watching the game on mute. One thing Gary Neville always does, about 9 minutes into a football match, is, usually before that actually, is goes on and on and on about fullback positions. So I'm going to do a Gary Neville thing, and I'm going to discuss where the fullbacks are playing today. It's his favourite thing. Listen out for it. You may not have noticed it yet, but usually 3, 4, 5 minutes into a game, he just starts banging on about fullback positions. But I can see we've had questions in the chat. James Dicker, should I keep Reece James? I was going to take him out, but he's playing today. Yes, James, he is playing, but also playing as a wing-back. So I'm expecting lots of attacking play. As an FPL asset...
Worth noting on James that the person who would replace him, Azpilicueta, is also in the team.
Yeah. So if Frank is going to go with this formation, then James is a brilliant FPL asset. If Frank is going to play with a back four more often than not, which I fear he might, or certainly I think that's where he wants to play, if he can start getting some clean sheets in the Premier League, then Reece James is probably not the best FPL asset because you're going to have him in and out of the team. He will rotate with Azpilicueta. I've just sold him myself for that exact reason. If I'm spending 5 million fancy pounds on a defender, I want them starting every week, and we just can't guarantee that with James. However, if he plays this system with the back three, then James almost becomes nailed, and actually a really attractive prospect, Seb, don't you think? I mean, Chilwell's quite a lot more expensive. There's about 0.6 between them.
So I've got Chilwell partly because while Ziyech isn't in the team, I like those set pieces, but mostly he seems to be replicating what he was doing at Leicester, but with even more freedom, and you'd say traditionally maybe more chance of a clean sheet, but I'm not sure if that is true with Leicester and Chelsea when they're both at full strength. But it feels like a way into that attacking Chelsea team, and a legitimate way as well, not just coverage. He is the one creating from that left-hand side. I think he's had, a couple of assists in maybe the last 3 weeks?
Two in the Premier League.
Exactly. And he's on set pieces while Ziyech isn't in the team, so that's a small bonus for a time now. But I really fancy him, with the potential, of course, of moving him on. I bought him in on a wild card, but I guess if you wanted to look for the one-to-one transfer I made, it was Trent down to Chilwell.
Right.
I think long-term, Trent's the better option. But that 2 million or so I could use, and right now I think Chilwell's looking better, especially with the Liverpool injuries. More than anything, I wonder if the Reece James and the whole Chelsea thing is an interesting look at how this season has gone so far. You say you've just taken Reece James out, and maybe he'll score today, and he scored that worldie in the first week. It feels like we're being punished for our knee jerks more than ever this season. And yeah, maybe you brought in Son and Kane last week and that's gone well, but you probably also took them out for points a couple of weeks before. I wonder if the managers who do best this season are going to be the ones that make decisions based on good information and stick to them.
Yeah. We are sometimes just too trigger happy, especially at the start of a season. We like taking more 4-point hits. We like using our chips or our wild cards early because it's fun and we've missed it and not had it for a few months. But yeah, as the season goes on, we perhaps give players a little bit more time, and we see less price rises as well. Let's not forget, the start of the season, we see so many price rises because we see more transfers. That has a knock-on effect, and we're often making transfers just to beat price rises, which seems silly because always, we've got to remember, points over pounds. I've got a friend that plays FPL who's constantly banging on about his team value. I couldn't care less. I just want to know what points you've got. I don't care what your team value is. His name's Toby Margetts, by the way, and he's often on this show.
You see, I'm not going to say team value over points, but I am in the early season avoiding those price changes or taking advantage of them. Not so much the 0.1, but some weeks where you can go, okay, this player's going to go up 0.1, maybe even 0.2. This one's going to go down 0.1. I both need to make the move now to actually be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And in a little bit of time, that 0.2, and maybe if they continue moving away from each other, it can be useful. I think the last few seasons we've seen some quite decent cheap options at the end of the year. So maybe not as prevalent as it's been in the past. But if by the end of the season, on that second wild card, you've got another $1 million to spend on a midfielder, that can make a big difference. I'm not saying chase it exclusively, but I do make early transfers, and I do make them based on price change information.
I'm the same. I mean, I'll make an early transfer if I've got the exact funds and if I can see prices are rising. For example, I bought Kane this week and I did buy him early, and he went up 0.2. Likewise, I bought Kilman the night before he went up. So I'm very conscious of it, but I don't ever judge my team on it. I won't be that
Fair.
guy
That's fair.
on Twitter banging on that his team value is 102.4. It's like, yeah, but what are your points? That's all I really care about.
No, I'm completely with you. I think it's more about, as you say, identifying a player who might move in price, and if that's someone you want, there is a bigger upside to getting on board now. But yeah, if you're saying I've got 106 million by Christmas, but I'm also 2 million in the world, well, good luck sorting that out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 15 minutes in, and Chelsea have had the better of the play so far. There's been no goal mouth action. There's been no chances for either team. But in terms of passing, Chelsea look to be a little bit brighter, a little bit slicker in the middle, which is often the case when you've got a Jorginho versus a McTominay. Jorginho, one of the best passers in the league. Who I absolutely love, and was asked on the FPL show this week, is he a great FPL asset? And I had to. I really struggled saying it, but I had to say no, because he's not. And look, penalties aren't sustainable. And yes, he's only 5.1 or whatever he is. But, he doesn't have any goal threat, really. I know he's had an assist or two this season, but he never looks like he's going to score unless it's a pen, and we can't just rely on pens. But yeah, one of my favourite Chelsea players, which I always like to add and talk about, and I know we divide opinion. What are your thoughts, Seb? And I should mention, Seb, I've not introduced you properly. Your rank last year, 389th in the world. That is incredible. So yeah, congrats on that. How's it going this season, and what are your thoughts on Jorginho? Two questions.
I'm a little bit higher in number, not in terms of rank. 1.7 million at the moment. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long I can shout about the 389.
How does that look though, Seb? Because I was talking to the producer of the FPL show in the week, who was saying he's on 2 million overall rank. Does that rule out for him a top 10k finish? And for me, absolutely not.
No.
It might rule out the 389th finish. I think you need to be good all season for that sort of top 500, top 1,000 finish. But to get to top 10k, if your rank is 4 million or 3 million, don't worry too much. Top 10k is still absolutely on the cards, I think. Do you agree with that, Seb?
I do. I really do. I hope, and I agree. I think. What do you reckon until maybe even game week 10? With so many chips being used early, with so much fluctuation in even point scorers and how people's teams look, I think even until game week 10 or so, you can look at your rank and go, as long as it's not been a complete disaster, I want the players I want going forward. I want to have a bit of momentum. I want to have a plan. Maybe like we said, team value. If I'm not on 99.5 or something, I've set myself up with a good base to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Corner just coming in there from Chilwell, being cleared away pretty easily, but confirms Chilwell's on them, I believe.
Yeah, and obviously Reece James is in the starting 11 today, and last time we saw Chilwell on corners, obviously Reece James wasn't starting, so there might be rotation there with corners. It might be Chilwell from the right and James from the left, but yeah, let's keep an eye on that for sure.
But yeah, so I wonder, it's not over, like you say, trying to compete for the first prize is probably out of reach. I think a lot of people maybe, the psychology of FPL is a very interesting thing, and smarter people than me have looked into it. I think we feel very tethered to our past decisions.
Yeah.
Almost doesn't matter what's come before. If your team is looking good now, start planning forward. Ignore last week. Sure, take the information it's yielded and take that on board. But look ahead. It's where you move from now. And so my wildcard, I'm very happy with how it looks. I don't have Kevin De Bruyne anymore, as I'm sure most people who wildcarded don't. I'm not going to rush and get him in back next week. I would like to look at where I move him to, but the midfield I've got, I'm very happy with. So I think planning and reacting are the two key skills in FPL. And if you look at the people who do well, luck is of course a big part of it. But you look at the people who consistently do well, they are very good at setting up a plan and then reacting when that plan changes.
Yeah, I spoke to Late Riser, who many of you will know, the Indian champion for, I think twice he's been number one in India. And Pranil, and he was like, yeah, I don't have a set of rules. Like, don't be fixed, and FPL shouldn't be a fixed game. So as you say, Seb, it's about adapting as things change. And Kev just said in the chat, he was at 1.1 million in game week 10 last season, finished at 5k. So
my hero.
Yeah, exactly. And do you remember where you were around game week 10 last season, Seb? Or game week
the last couple of seasons, I have been quite fortunate. I've I finished quite high, and I've started well and continued that. So maybe I don't know how to come from this position. Maybe I have to play a bit differently. I don't actually think, and maybe Kev can tell us what he did. I don't think, especially this early, playing differently is smart. Maybe when you get to game week 28, 29, you start looking at differentials and making, strong moves and hoping for the upside. But right now, after 6 game weeks, why would I pick anyone other than the best players?
Yeah, yeah. Like people already I know are going for like differential captain shouts, and look, I can see an argument for playing a little bit differently with a couple of fringe players. So for example, maybe you go for a bit like I did the other day. I went for Trossard instead of when everyone else was going Grealish or Barkley. But a little differential on a kind of mid to low price player is neither here nor there for me, and it makes it a little bit more fun. But by going for a differential captain pick at this time of the season, for me that's madness. Yeah. So I'm playing safe with my captaincy. And when I say safe, I'm not saying we all should be captaining Salah this game week, but I'm talking about putting it on a premium asset. I know many have gone Kane or Son or perhaps Bruno, and that's absolutely fine. I don't see that as a risk. But I've seen people captaining. Someone captained Martinez yesterday, a fairly well-respected FPL manager captaining Martinez. That just seems like trying to be too clever. Oh, Bruno's just had his hands raised on Jorginho. You might see this now, Seb.
Oh, so he has, yeah. He's brushed his face, hasn't he? But by the letter of the law.
By the letter of the law.
Are they checking it, or is that just the TV cameras that have picked that up?
I can't see the VAR checks. Graphics not on screen, and
it doesn't seem to be.
Play continues. So. I mean, I'm guessing that was obviously off the ball. I only caught a glimpse of it, and when the ball wasn't in play. But still, you can't do that, Bruno. He's been fiery in recent weeks, hasn't he, Bruno Fernandes? We heard about the sort of the spat in the dressing room. He was hooked at half time. He missed a penalty, which is unlike. He's missed 2 penalties in the last week. They're very not like him. I know one was retaken. What are your thoughts on Bruno, Seb, and how he's settled really, really well at United? He impressed us all, but is he going to be a regular FPL point scorer if we take penalties away?
Do you think we take penalties away, though? I think that's the key thing, right? If he loses penalties, yeah, he probably becomes more of a £8.5 million midfielder.
Yeah.
But is it really going to lose penalties? Like,
we know they continue, can it? That United keep getting more than everyone else? Can that continue? And for the last 2 seasons, they have done.
Most in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They clearly... Whether they get how many they get is maybe up for debate, but clearly whatever they do leads to them being at the top of the table in terms of penalties awarded, and I don't see them changing whatever it is that leads to that. Maybe the slightly lazy analysis is, they've got quick players and they get into the box a lot. Sure, maybe.
No, the lazy analysis is that they're Man United and all United always get the rub of the green and the refs all like United. But yeah, the kind of mid-level analysis is, as you say, the Rashfords and the Martials of this world with their quick feet. But there must be more to it, and I'm sure you've thought about it and got some suggestions, have you said, for that?
Traditionally, the bigger clubs are always going to get more penalties because you'll have more possession, more touches in the opposition area, therefore more opportunity to win a penalty, right?
Yeah.
We're maybe not seeing United. I mean, they've got 67% possession for Chelsea here, so 33 for Manchester United. We're probably not seeing them get the same level of possession and dominance we would expect, maybe under the Alex Ferguson era. But clearly something still leads to it. I would suggest maybe now it's the counter-attacks. So if we take the quick part of that, the Rashfords and your Martials, and a good passer like Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, of course that leads to being able to pick out those counter-attacks. But the other way you're going to win penalties is, having lots and lots of touches and lots of ball around the area, but also breaking into the area quickly when defenders are on the turn and trying to recover. If Marcus Rashford is coming down the left with Martial coming in for the right, and I've got, say, the goalkeeper looking to come out, a left back trying to keep up with Martial, and then someone trying to shepherd Rashford, you're very tempted to dive in there, aren't you? You should try and shield, but if Rashford has got the yard on you, you probably launch for that. If you launch for it on the edge of the area and catch his heels, you're going to give away a penalty. I'd imagine, and of course, you could go away and analyse all the penalties they've been awarded, but I suspect a lot of them are coming from not so much what Man United are doing, but how other teams are dealing with it. If people are pushing high and having to really defend on the last foot, you're much more likely to give away a penalty.
Yeah, United have a corner, Rashford... only bright
United have really,
only time they've been in Chelsea's third, I can think. Like literally, they've offered absolutely nothing so far. Just seen in the chat, Ketan Chopra 3 years ago, he was at 1.5 million by December the 20th. Right, that's halfway through the season. That's like game week 19. he finished just outside the top 5k. That is pretty impressive. From 1.5 million halfway through.
Send me a DM afterwards. I need your secrets.
Yeah, exactly.
What? How many seasons ago was that? Did you say?
3 years ago.
Okay.
So
Be interested.
that was the year Salah went crazy, scored 32 Premier League goals.
Oh, was it his debut season?
That was his debut season 3 years ago.
Because I wonder if this season keeps going in the way it's gone so far, with it being so unpredictable, I wonder if there's more opportunity to both go from 5k to 1 million and 1 million to 5k.
Yeah.
Some seasons, we go, okay, Man City or Liverpool are winning the league, and the same players are scoring points over and over and over. We don't have like a Danny Ings halfway through the season. Those are probably the tougher seasons to catch up.
Yeah.
So interesting to know what is, I don't know, not luck and tactic, but more interesting to know how people are identifying the tactics to take advantage of.
Yeah, and with the unpredictability in results, Villa beating Liverpool 7-2 and Palace beating United, but just some big wins from players that aren't well owned. That day Villa beat Liverpool, and that was the same weekend. There was another really big result. I can't remember what it was. I think United conceded 5. Who was it against? Can't remember, but
Tottenham beat them by 6.
Oh yeah, Tottenham 6. So there was players on those 2 fixtures, certainly in the Villa game, where you go Watkins double figures, Grealish double figures, Barkley 9 points. Like these were players at the time that just were not owned by anyone. Oh, Werner nearly in there. Havertz puts him in, just a yard off, wasn't he?
That was nice. That was nice. That though.
Ketan,
That's been on that ball from the left coming across in between the centre backs.
So
Chilwell again trying to create that.
And it wasn't offside. Havertz with a brilliant touch considering the conditions, and he just finds Werner. Havertz is an absolute class act. Like that control in those conditions. I do think when we see Havertz for the next 3, 4, 5 months, we'll all be saying we've got a special player on our hands. And I know Chelsea fans know that, but I know many supporters from other teams perhaps don't. And I just think that he is one of the best young players in the world. There's a reason Chelsea paid that much money for him.
Do you think people are doubting him? I'd say was he 21? I think there's the best midfielder in the world there potentially
at that age group
in the future.
Yeah. Name me a better. Is he 21 or 20? Is he 21?
Let's have a quick look.
Whatever he is, name me a better 20 or 21 year 20. So name me a better 21-year-old midfielder. I can't think off the top of my head. Certainly not attacking midfielder.
Yeah, in that role. Role.
I can't. No, because what we see in that number 10 style creative midfield position that's not a winger, we often, because Sancho and Pulisic, these are wingers. If you're playing in that position for a top team, you're usually slightly older. It's very rare a 21-year-old starts as a number 10 in a top team. You don't see it a huge amount. So
give you maybe Martin Odegaard as getting up there. Real Madrid.
He hasn't done it in a top team though, has he, Seb? I know he's at Real Madrid now.
I feel like he's maybe not being given the opportunity. In terms of Real Madrid at the moment aren't looking. They've just beaten Barcelona today, but until today they've not really looked.
Oh, Reece James went for it. Reece James went for the near post there. HK says greedy Reece James, but that is worth a go.
Worth noting that Reece James was on that one as well, because you could have had Chilwell putting the in-swinger into that.
Yeah.
Outswinger, yeah. So I'd say Martin Odegaard.
I would go Havertz all day. I don't even think there's a discussion there between those, just because. I don't know. Maybe. I know he was great last season.
I think you're right. I think trying to look for someone who would maybe join him in that bracket. I'd agree Havertz is top, but maybe Odegaard. Give them both 3 or 4 years, and I think they could both be up there.
James Dicker. What about Aouar from Lyon? No, not quite. He's very good. I don't know if he's quite Havertz level. And he's not. He's a number 8, isn't he?
He has been playing 10 for Lyon a bit now after they've moved a few players around, and I think looking at if Arsenal had signed him, a lot of their fans were saying he'd come off the left, maybe eventually move into number 10. But yeah, for me, I would play him in that 8 role a bit more. The looking after possession and moving the ball around and stuff, rather than necessarily being the 10.
Guys, let us know in the chat. Options for better 21-year-old attacking mid and central player, not a winger, so a number 10 style player than Havertz. We've had a suggestion. Leo Wang. I mean, in terms of 21-year-olds attacking mids, I'm sure Frank Lampard would say Mason Mount, says Leo. Look, Mason Mount gets so much bad press, but let's not forget his favoured position. If you ask Mason Mount, it would be the left or right of a midfield 3. in a 4-3-3. That's where he played a lot at Derby. That's where he
Do
did
you not
play
think
a lot
number
at
10?
Chelsea. Possibly number 10 in a 4-2-3-1, but he's not going to play in that role too much at Chelsea. So yeah, I certainly not as a wide forward in the front three, which is where Gareth Southgate's been playing him. So the whole Mount over Grealish argument, for me, it's a non-starter. They are very different types of player. Wow, Mendy, what are you doing?
Oh my god!
So Mendy passes the ball across his goal.
He's very nearly just put that in his own far post.
And he nearly sticks it in his own far post, and it goes out for a corner. So we're getting the corner coming in from, I think, Mata now.
The Chelsea goalkeeper saga continues.
Yeah, please no. No suggestions in the chat yet, so I think we'll have to go with that. Havertz is the best 21-year-old or under number 10. But yeah, I mean, if I pronounce our right at Lyon,
that's how I'd go for it. But let's not say I'm right either. And for the record as well, he's incredible. I'd certainly have him up there in terms of just talent. But I think there, like we said, he maybe just plays that one role behind. I'd have them both. Him at 8 and Havertz at 10 would do me very nicely.
Yeah, exactly.
With Camavinga in at 6.
Yeah, exactly. Now, he is definitely one to watch. I'm really excited about him. And for those that don't know, he's been starting for France now. So, yeah, they've got... I mean, French football is just ridiculous for talent, isn't it? Just last note on Havertz, do check out FPL Rubber Ducky's article on the Fantasy Football Scout website. I think Rubber Ducky wrote this. Bruno with a shot from range, comfortable save for Mendy. I think Rubber Ducky, you wrote this about the week or two before the start of the season. Really interesting. You delved into the numbers. You looked at his form in Germany. Do check that out. And of course, guys, if any of you are watching and don't currently subscribe to Fantasy Football Scout, give it a go. I can't believe the price that Fantasy Football Scout charges for membership. What you pay in 1 year with Scout, you could easily pay in 2 months for a patron, and you'll get a huge amount from the members area. I mean, I'm not on there a huge amount. I go on there every week, of course, but just for the touch maps, the predicted goal scorers you get, it's worth it for that alone. What would you say you use the members area for most, Seb? What would be the number one thing you'd? I like the heat maps and the touch maps.
The stats and also Joe's goals imminent table.
The goals imminent. That's
a very, very nice one. Like anything with stats, you don't just pick one and go, this is the one that's going to make my decisions, but it just gives you more information.
Pulisic cutting in on the left, goes round McTominay on his right foot. We know he likes to do that move. Unfortunately, it's right down De Gea's throat. But
in this weather, you could see that squirming out though.
You could, and it was Chilwell that puts him in down the left. Chilwell's getting quite a lot of space. Can we talk a little bit about Leeds and Villa? Yes, Vivek, we can, because I don't know how we have gone half an hour or whatever it is of this show without asking Seb about last night's game.
Did something happen?
3-0. I mean, Patrick Bamford, take a bow. I mean, we knew he had quick feet, and there were signs when he was at Chelsea, and then again at Borough. That there was a player in there, and we always thought he was a championship level footballer. And Seb, even yourself had reservations about Bamford in the Premier League. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, absolutely, and I almost still do. Clearly, I'm unsure.
Yeah.
But last night he had 9 shots in total, I believe. Still managed to miss a big chance. And if you look at the goals he scored, they were wonderful. They're all low XG chances.
Oh, Pulisic! Come on, so close.
He's appearing on that right side now, isn't he? Coming in.
Has that gone out for a corner? I mean, it's Wan-Bissaka, or was it Fred? It's Fred with trying to do silly things in the middle of the pitch. Trying to do a Zidane.
Oh no.
Trying to do a Zidane where he stands on the ball and does a pirouette.
He's miscontrolled the first touch and gone for a roulette and
I tell you what, that's going in if it doesn't take a deflection. That should go out for a corner. I don't know if a corner.
Oh yeah, that definitely is a corner.
Chilwell on corners from that side as well. Chilwell outswinger. Maguire gets his head on it, as Maguire always does. And Maguire does quite well in the bonus points for that reason.
Maguire versus Zuma will be interesting at the set pieces.
Yeah, 2 very good headers. Definitely Chelsea's best header of the ball is Zuma, and compared with United's and Maguire, so that's a great battle. But yeah, back to Leeds and Bamford. You must have been delighted. 3-0.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I love that indicative this season so far. Leeds lose 4-3 to Liverpool. Villa beat Liverpool 7-2. Leeds beat Villa 3-0. And you couldn't really argue with any of those results, which is fantastic for just watching the football this season, less so for trying to predict what's going to happen. I think As I said earlier, I think I did a little Leeds pod with Andy during the summer, just ahead of the new season.
Yeah.
I think my thoughts on Bamford kind of remain from them, but of course, he is performing much better than I thought he would. But he's in the team for everything else he brings. Goals are almost a bonus. People saying when we signed Rodrigo, he would replace Bamford. I don't think there's any chance of that. Have we had something happen?
Yeah, Rashford with a really good chance. But I mean, should he score it? I'm not so sure. It's a very good save by
Good
Mendy.
save.
Using his legs. Very David De Gea-esque style there from Mendy, using his legs to good effect. But Jorginho gives the ball away in the middle. Bruno nips it off him. Rashford is onside. Ball played through, I think, by Mata. And yeah, Rashford, it's going in the bottom corner. So it's a very good save. It's the only save I think Mendy's had to make so far.
Yeah. Apart from the Bruno long shot, but that was almost just gathering it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best Rashford can do there as well. He goes low across the keeper. Keeper makes a good save.
Yeah, it was the corner coming in, looking at the edge of the box for the Bruno volley, but Thiago Silva.
Oh, he's gone for it.
Thiago Silva just reads it. I mean, that is what you get with such a worldy centre back. That might be off the pace a little bit because he's at the end of his career. But they say the first yard of pace is in your head. Maldini used to do that at 38 years old, and Thiago Silva looks like he could go the same way. I don't know how
what was that Maldini quote with the "If I have to make a tackle, I've already made a mistake"?
Yeah, I love that. And is there a stat with Maldini that he never got sent off or something like that? Is that Maldini? Or am I thinking of a different Italian centre back? It might be something like Baresi or Costa Curta or Maldini. One of them never got sent off.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd believe it.
Yeah, I would. Absolute rolls. I think Maldini is the greatest defender the world has ever seen. I'd go that far. I don't think there's a better one. Beckenbauer's been talked about. Baresi, you could argue. Name me a better... I don't want to say centre back because he was a left back and then moved to centre back, but an out and out defender. Let's rule out the flying fullbacks of Brazil. An out and out defender. Name me a better one. In the chat, let us know. My dad's favourite ever player, by the way, is Maldini.
I guess.
Milan fan.
Oh, fair enough. I guess the out and out defender is maybe the important bit because Ronald Koeman, in that I'm a defender but I'm not role, is ridiculous.
Playmaker, wasn't he? Yeah.
Exactly. Beckenbauer, like you say, again defender but also bringing it forward. More recently, Cannavaro. But a decent shout. If you ask a Liverpool fan, Virgil van Dijk.
Oh please, oh please. I mean, Van Dijk is the best in the Premier League. Oh, it's Cannavaro that's never been sent off, says Ike Zach.
Oh, is it cool?
Oh, I was right with the Italians theme. Yeah, I mean, is Maldini better than Tony Hibbert? Brilliant. Zuma, someone has suggested. Look, Van Dijk is the best in the Premier League at the moment. But look, this is the same Van Dijk that was at Celtic and Southampton where he was incredibly good. But no one raved on about him then. Now he's at Liverpool, he's the best in the world. He was equally as good in his last couple of years at Southampton, I think. He just didn't play at that level. Is he the best the world's ever seen? Absolutely not. I think John Terry's the best the Premier League's ever seen.
Rio Ferdinand?
Yeah, Rio and Terry are the two that come out straight away. I'd put Van Dijk still behind those two. I put Van Dijk at third. I'd put him ahead of Sol Campbell. Put him ahead of Tony Adams. Oh, Vidic. Okay, Vidic comes into the top. Vidic could knock even Terry.
Vidic basically has one downside, which is Torres ripped him apart twice in one season, which is possibly when he was getting older. I think, don't get me wrong, Van Dijk is wonderful, and I think he's definitely in that conversation. You'd want to see another couple of years. Obviously, he's now suffered a very unfortunate injury. I guess the difference maybe between him and the others is they did it for a long time at the top. Van Dijk he was great at Southampton, obviously, hence Liverpool signing him. Stepped it up at Liverpool, but that's 2-3 seasons. You want to see another couple. I think the last few months as well, the end of last season, the beginning of this one, he's gone from what made him so good, which was that unbelievable, cool, calm head. And it suited his style because he used to stand off. That's why he never got dribble pass, because he never used to engage. He would just back off and try and cover it. But that has gone to maybe him being slightly, maybe careless is the wrong word, but a lot of the goals Liverpool have conceded early this season, you've seen Van Dijk either not covering a run or not quite being in the right position, not getting the yard he used to. We won't know now because of the injury, and I hope he comes back at his best. But I wonder if we were seeing a little dip in form from him.
Luke Shaw's just gone in the book, by the way, guys. And interesting on the United fullbacks, with Chelsea playing wing-backs so high up the pitch, the United fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, aren't getting past the halfway line. They are pegged back, and they're both looking like they're struggling a bit. And we know United like to utilise the fullbacks. Wan-Bissaka offers nothing going forward, but you often see him in those forward positions, underwhelming with his delivery. Not a good enough player for me to play for Man United, Wan-Bissaka, and a silly amount of money they paid. But I digress. It means that United aren't getting the attacking outlet down the sides, and all they've really got is the Rashford ball in behind. The free kick comes in from Chilwell. Again, it's Maguire that wins it.
Yes.
Good.
Who was he on there? Who was he marking? Was that Pulisic?
Was it? Okay, I'd expect him to be on Zuma, but
maybe they've just gone penalty spot is yours, clear anything that comes.
Yeah,
in
it
that,
may
in
have
that
been.
area.
I think it's Azpilicueta.
Was it Azpilicueta?
Yeah, it's Azpi, and his hands are all over him. Oh, you've seen that given. Are VAR going to look at that?
It was round his neck, yeah.
I'm guessing VAR haven't looked. Someone in the chat would have let us know, but that's a pen.
I mean, it's good defending unless you get caught. If you get caught, it's very bad defending, right?
I mean, I'm not listening to the commentary, of course, but I can imagine Gary Neville saying it was nothing because it's Maguire on Azpi. But I expect that to be given 5 times out of 10. That's given once.
5 times. So 50% then.
Yeah. Oh, Mata. Good save.
Oh yeah, good save.
Is that a comfortable save or is that a good save? I'm not so sure. I need to see the replay.
You've got to make it. It can be both good and expected, can't it? I think you've got to make it. It's near post. He's taken it from outside the area, crowded. Oh yeah, Mendy's right there.
Comfortable height.
It's good positioning. He's put himself in that gap so he can see the ball.
Guys, we've got a few options in the chat. Going back to centre back, I've seen Hangeland. Oh, VAR are looking at it. Hang on a sec. No, VAR are looking at something else.
Without the commentary, I have no idea what they're looking at.
Oh, Rashford's down in the area. Rashford is limping, says Kev. Yeah. So yeah, Rashford, Kante is one side of him, and Thiago Silva just sort of swipes the ball away. But no, that's fine. That definitely won't be given.
Oh yeah, I think, like you say, the ball's been taken, and then there's tangles of legs, but everyone's just going in for the ball, aren't they?
But without Rashford, if he is injured, then United are limited on options. Maybe Cavani comes on earlier than we expect. Going back to centre backs, we've had Hangeland, we've had Kolo Touré, we've had Vermaelen. Come on, guys. Carvalho was a better defender than Terry. I don't know. He was a very, very good. And look, Carvalho should come part into the sort of top 5 discussion for sure. Mings is better than Terry, says Fox in the box. I don't know.
Carvalho was perfect for Jose Mourinho at that time.
Yeah.
He brought him with him from Porto to do a very specific job.
And then
I wonder if it works in other scenarios, but yeah, it's a decent shout.
Yeah, and then I think he took Carvalho with him to Spain, didn't he, to Real Madrid? So he loved him, and he was a brilliant centre back, and that pairing was amazing. Corner comes in from United, cleared by Kante, and Rashford is on. But yeah, as Kev says, he's back on, but he is limping. And look, Rashford does often go through the pain barrier to play, but. Oh, it doesn't.
From the other angle, it looks like Rashford gets the ball first, and then Thiago Silva kicks his foot. It's helpful that Rashford's got black boots on and everyone else has got white. I wonder if he gets the ball first.
It's not a pen, is it?
I mean, I don't think that without commentary, I'm not certain, but they don't seem to have given it or even considering it.
Is it a pen 5 times out of 10, Seb?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Isn't it? If you can't give it the majority of the time, you don't give it. You've got to be sure to give someone an 80% chance of scoring a goal. You've got to be pretty sure that they deserve it.
Yeah. Oh, Reece James, what a tackle! You get that wrong, and that's a pen.
That was a good tackle.
Was that Mata that was in down the left? Luke Shaw with a really nice pass through there. But yeah, great tackle from James. And now we've got Chilwell down the left, and Chilwell has been really high up the pitch. A great attacking outlet for Chelsea.
That Timo Werner Chilwell Chilwell just looked to try and find him, didn't he? But it got cut out. That little combination does work very nicely for them in the early weeks they've played together.
Just trying to see waiting for a close up to see how much it's raining in Manchester, because if the rain continues at the rate we saw at the start of the game, then yeah, it's going to be could be a kind of fairly waterlogged pitch, which you just don't see in Premier League football. Nice little play in the middle of the park by Bruno. United are passing it around a little bit neater now, aren't they, Seb? At the start of the game,
for sure.
The first 20 minutes was all Chelsea in terms of dominance in the middle of the park, but it looks now a much more even battle.
For sure, we've gone down to Chelsea 59% possession, United 41%. And crucially as well, United have had 7 shots. Okay, sure, mostly from range, but 3 on target. Chelsea have only managed the 3 with 1 on target.
Yeah. And I expected goals, but it looks like it's going to be a tight affair, and it could be, become a 1-0. But both managers will go into half time, I think, fairly happy. What do you reckon? I mean, there's 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 not a lot for Lampard to be,
If I
moaning out.
was if I was Frank Lampard, I wouldn't be unhappy, but I think I have the better lineup. I'm probably in the to take a Jose Mourinho quote. I'm in the better moment.
Hmm.
I'd want, without fans there at Old Trafford, it isn't the Old Trafford that maybe it would be in the past. I'd want this match for Chelsea. I think they could take it, and at half time, I wouldn't be unhappy, but I'd be wanting a bit more, and I'd want you to go and actually take this match.
Mm,
I mean, you've got Dan James, Fred, Scott McTominay, Juan Mata.
yeah,
It is not Man United's strongest lineup, even in the current climate.
yeah. And when you look at the benches, there's Chelsea have got more options to come off the bench and hopefully have an impact in this game. And Kev, you are brilliant. Not only do you let us know when there's a goal scored before we do, before we see it, but you're also 5 miles away and can give us an accurate weather forecast. You're five miles away from Old Trafford, and you've looked out your window and you said it's still heavy rain, but not quite as heavy. So the rain may have slowed a bit, but that is brilliant. When we're Havertz does go in the book for that, and well pointed out there as well. But when we're doing a game next week and we're down on the south coast, say doing the Southampton game, I'm hopeful you'll be able to give us just as accurate a weather forecast.
As long as you could adhere to social distancing, if you could get down there for us, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll have our touchline reporter. Who needs Sky or BT? You got fancy football Scoutcast Matchday with way better roaming reporters, and the halftime whistle looks like it's gone. So 0-0 at halftime. And loads of you will join us at halftime, and those that are with us, thank you for staying with us. But in the halftime chat, Seb, I want to talk a little bit about our transfers this week and what we've done in FPL and how our teams are looking. So I'll run through mine very quickly. I went early with my moves. So I had about 5.5 million in the bank. I was desperate to get Harry Kane in. Now,
do you want to explain why you had 5.5 million to start with?
Well, I sold KDB for Trossard as a 4-point hit late on because I wanted to replace KDB. I didn't need to bring in Sterling because I already had him. So I went to a cheap player to bank some money. So then I was like, okay, I need Kane in my team. I don't want to take another 4-point hit. So I'll sell Jimenez to Kane, which I know loads of you will have done. Then I looked at Jimenez on Monday night and I thought Wolves look like they're not clicking at the moment, but they look like they're close to clicking. And he got his return. I know it was a lucky goal. And I looked at the fixtures, Newcastle and Palace. I thought, I just can't sell Jimenez. How can I get Harry Kane into my team? So, with my 5.5 million, I couldn't go Brewster to Harry Kane. I was about 0.7 short. So, Brewster to Kane, and then take a 4-point hit and downgrade someone. So I downgraded Reece James to Max Kilman, who now we think is a starter. He started the last 2. I do already have Roman Saiss, but I expect off the back of 2 clean sheets, Wolves to keep that same back 5. Maybe not for the foreseeable, but for the next couple of games, yes. Marcel, remember, is back in. So I've gone Kane for Brewster, Reece James out for Kilman. And I've taken another 4-point hit. That's 2 in 2 weeks. I'm going to try and ease up on my 4-point hits. I don't like doing too many, but I just feel like Kane, with the set of 3 fixtures that he has got, I already have Son. I feel like it's absolutely worth taking a 4-point hit for him. I feel like everyone that wildcarded has them both, and I wasn't on a wildcard in game week 5, so I felt like I had to do that. And loads of you in the chat will probably have double Spurs. I didn't captain a Spurs player this week. I've gone Salah. But I'm really hopeful Kane and Son will deliver in the next few weeks. The fixtures are great and Spurs are scoring loads of goals.
I think that's fair.
What did you do, Seb? And who did you captain?
Salah. We've captained the same player, I think, almost every week
time.
so far, haven't we? Yeah. And it's turned out so well. I like the Kane move. I think you get, you've taken your -4, but you're getting a player who is looking like returning points, especially over the short term, but in the medium term. And also you've got a player who, especially if you've got Kane and Son, if you want De Bruyne, I know Aguero got injured today, but if you want someone else, there's a move there.
Yeah.
You do have a future move with it, unlike maybe locking yourself into someone at an awkward price bracket.
Yeah.
Myself, I did the very boring Mitchell to Kilman, simply because had nothing else to do. I now have my defence set up with Lamptey, Eiling, Chilwell, Robertson and Kilman. So Mitchell was probably at the back of that queue. So even though, yes, he's starting for Palace, I don't know when he'll lose his spot to Van Arnold. I suspect at some point. I have Guaita in goal as well, so I've got, if I want the clean sheets in Palace, I've got that covered.
Yeah.
The only place I think coverage does work is in defence. So I was happy to I took the price rise on Mitchell. bank that 0.1, get Kilman in, then got his price rise rather fortunately, and just have a cheaper player on the bench who actually I could start in any 1 week. If he loses his place later, fine, I can sort that, or I can just hold him because he's very much fifth out of my five.
I plan to sell Mitchell next week, but seeing him start today and play quite well today, I'm not 100% sure Patrick Van Aanholt's going to come back into this starting 11 as the left back. We could see Van Aanholt as a left-sided sort of as a winger, or we could see Mitchell as a winger and Van Aanholt as left back. But then I'm looking at Roy Hodgson and thinking, maybe with Mitchell, you're doing the same as you did with Wan-Bissaka. You see a young player, there's a message from the board to say, let's get his value high. And play him, whether that's to sell him or to keep him, but just have a high valued asset. And I think I'm right in saying Van Aanholt is out of contract at the end of the season. If that's the case, then I just wouldn't be surprised if Mitchell does stay in the team. That might not be for Van Aanholt, it might get both in the team. You know, we've seen Jeffrey Schlupp, who was a left back, play a lot at Palace, or only really at Palace as a left-sided midfielder. So Roy does do that, and I just feel like now I'm perhaps not going to sell Mitchell so soon, and instead we'll sell Dunn at Burnley, who of course isn't playing at all.
I think, especially if Mitchell is getting near your starting lineup,
yeah, which
I think that's a fair shout. Mine was simply because
it was your
of my options. He was probably at the end of the list, and I had Guaita in goal as well. So it was a case of I can get on a 4.0 who's a little cheaper and rising, and is definitely nailed on in the short term. And I prefer. So Kilman has probably gone from, Mitchell was fifth. I think Kilman is first on my bench this week. So if James, for example, doesn't play, he'll come on. So it's just a little manoeuvre for me to get a player I was happier with and sort out my defensive priorities. But looking forwards, I think, as we mentioned earlier, De Bruyne interests me. I'm in no massive rush, but if there was any player in FPL over the last 2 years who I have owned probably whenever he's been fit and have the most faith in, it would be Kevin De Bruyne.
Me too. I think I'd probably say he's probably my most owned player in the last couple of seasons. Him and Salah. I was even Salah last season when everyone was on Mane. I stayed with Salah. But yeah, I want KDB back in, and I might make that sideways move in a couple of weeks from Sterling to KDB. And I don't like doing that. Premium asset from from the same team, same position. But watching Sterling again today, he does get the chances, and that is all we should be looking for. But in terms of consistency and someone I would want to captain, KDB I'm more than likely to give the armband to over Sterling, and therefore KDB I just prefer him in my team. And Sterling's been frustrating because I've had him for 3 or 4 weeks now, and I think he's got me a goal last week, but not much else. And City just haven't quite clicked yet this season. They were brilliant on the opening day against Wolves. And many of us FPL managers saw that and flocked towards them, as I did. I went for the triple up, and it was just left really disappointed with them. But Aguero going off injured today, Jesus out. We'll probably see Sterling again as a false 9. They just don't look brilliant, and they look like they're a bit soft in the middle. They're going to concede the odd goal or two. One player I do like at City, I don't know about you, Seb, is Cancelo. He's now the first choice left back. He's really attacking. Pep was full of praise for him at the end of last season. Can you see Cancelo being, well, he is the first choice left back at the moment. Mendy's injured. Zinchenko's been out of the team and fit again. There is 3 left backs there, and with Pep Roulette you worry, but I think Cancelo will play, 75 to 95% of Premier League football matches at the moment. He's flying at the moment. He's getting assists too.
I think it's worth noting as well that Cancelo played the end of last season as the first choice left back with Zinchenko and Mendy both fit.
Yeah.
He also can play right back. So we know we have that. I mean, you'd think he was actually probably signed to replace or cover for Walker. So whether Walker's fit or not, or whether they change things up, he's probably the only one of those fullbacks who has 2 positions in the team available to him. Mm-hmm. I really like him. I'd love him to be 0.5 cheaper.
Yeah.
But in terms of, if you look at his underlying numbers, his possession and attacking stats are fully outrageous.
Yeah.
Back at when he was at Inter, he was on set pieces. So he won't be on set pieces at City, but it just shows he's got that delivery in him. Yeah. When he went to Juventus, he lost some set pieces, but again at wing back was similarly attacking and put in incredible numbers, especially goal threat, which is something to note.
Yeah. This was all from left wing back quite a bit at Juve too.
Yeah, well, it was mostly from the right, but yeah, as you say, left wing back. And then when he came to City, he obviously didn't play for a long time. I think he's maybe got up to Pep Guardiola speed now. Maybe there's an opportunity in the side with Mendy maybe not being the first choice he was. Mm-hmm. And I actually wonder if his goal threat from the left is even better, because you see him get into those channels you'd expect a left inside forward to. Cut back on himself, look across goal. He's had a couple of big chances, especially at the end of last year, to score. I really rate it as a pick. My only reservation is City don't look like keeping clean sheets regularly enough for me to go for 5.5 over, say, if he was 5.0, I'd probably have him.
Hmm.
But you always want to make sure you've got maybe 3 Liverpool and 3 City assets open to you. 5.5, I'm looking at Chilwell. He's maybe on set pieces at the moment. He possibly has, just because of how the teams are playing, more opportunities for attacking returns, possibly better chances for clean sheets as well.
Yeah, just seen the penalty appeal for Azpilicueta. Maguire's arms round his throat. I
Yeah,
don't. That's a pen. That's not given 50% of the time. That's given 90% of the time. Seeing the replay, I think.
that's fair.
But yeah,
I didn't catch if there was a VAR call on it or see the commentary. Did they discuss it,
I
or is it just
mean,
not being picked up?
I mean, VAR look at everything, so we're told. But there wasn't the whole VAR check graphic on Sky Sports, so I don't know. It was a weird
Yeah,
one.
I'm not sure how you can go. There's nothing there for the ref to have a look at.
And what makes it even worse is when we see stuff happening in the penalty box from a set piece. If it's miles away from the ball, no matter how bad it is, it's often not given because it's like, oh, the ball wasn't right there. This is Maguire with his arms round Azpilicueta like that, and Maguire
Literally
heads the
round his
ball.
neck as well.
And
Yeah.
Maguire heads the ball. It's literally right on top of him. The action is there. Azpilicueta could have had a brilliant goal scoring opportunity 7 yards out. So that's a real hard one to take as a Chelsea fan. That's a pen.
I'd be interested to hear any takes from the chat, but I think I'm with you. I can't see a reason why you wouldn't.
Yeah, VAR did look at it, says Kev. Interesting.
Yeah.
VAR given something that's going against the referee is very different to VAR given agreeing with the referee's decision. And we've seen that time and again, haven't we? Going against the original call is you're unlikely to get it. I'd love to see the
I think it's
numbers
been
on
better
that.
this season though.
It has.
We know we've had the whole handball stuff, but I think it's been better. The thing that I don't know this, maybe this is wrong, but it feels like that the ref has to be right, and for the VAR to change that decision, they're going, oh, the ref was wrong, and therefore he's done a bad thing. They're all a team. If you
Yeah.
look at like rugby or cricket, the umpire or the ref isn't wrong because they're part of a team. The point is the team get the decision right. The man in the middle is not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
He's just the boss, if you
Yeah.
like.
Why is the man
So-
in the middle though, Seb, in the Premier League, not looking at the pitch side monitors? Because that is a prime example of go and have a look. So I watch a lot of Italian football. Seb, I know you watch a lot of European football. You watch German football, Italian football. Every game you see, most of the games you see, at some point you see a ref going over to a pitch side monitor. In the Premier League, I reckon we see it once or twice a weekend. So in 10 fixtures, we see it once.
Do you think it's maybe an unwillingness from not the refereeing body, but maybe the Premier League broadcasters and everything to go, is that something that takes away from the product? Which is a big, well, that can be a dirty word, but the Premier League, the reason these clubs can buy these players and pay these wages is because of the product the Premier League puts out. Maybe they're thinking we don't want to damage the viewing experience, which they think taking that time for the ref to go over and look at the camera rather than maybe trying to make those decisions quicker is something they're trying to discourage.
Yeah, I feel like there was a couple of quotes coming out the Premier League at the start of the season which said we were going to be checking pitch side monitors.
We have seen more of it as well.
We have seen more, but it's not
clearly
enough.
not in this case.
And it's not enough. I mean, we've seen it in FIFA and UEFA tournaments. The World Cup final, we saw it. We see it a lot in Italy and Germany. I'm not too sure about Spain, but we see it a lot in Italy and Germany. And of course, it was there before it was in the Premier League. I think by next season in the Premier League, we'll see it more again. And maybe it is just that lag, that fact that we're a year behind.
Something interesting to note from the Bundesliga. I don't remember the exact numbers, so don't quote me on that. But in terms of the trend, the year before they introduced the very harsh handball and penalty rules with VAR in the Bundesliga, we saw something like, let's say, 30 penalties given for handball.
Yeah.
The year they introduced it, that went up to 65.
And then it's going to
Following season, it went back down to 30 again because people adapted. Maybe the referees got a little bit better at the nuance, but defenders adapted. They just started putting their arms behind their back. Attackers attack differently. It feels like, I know we've made changes, but maybe we need to tough it through. Make the decision that is the right for the long term. So like you say, going to the cameras, getting the correct rules in place. Tough through it, and then we'll get the right product at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just a shame it takes so long. But yeah, similar numbers in Italy. I think last season in Serie A, the amount of penalties was insane. And when you look at the goal scoring charts, I think Immobile was seen as like the best striker or the best numbers in terms of goals across Europe.
He outscored Ronaldo, right?
Yeah, by a long way. I think he finished with like 35 goals, but sort of 18 of them were pens. But again, Ronaldo finished with 20 plus, and over half his were pens as well. But it's just interesting when you compare across leagues and you go, Serie A is getting so many pens, and it's what we're seeing in the Premier League this season. And no doubt Serie A will dip a bit. And you're actually seeing defenders with their arms behind their back a lot more now in Italy for that reason, that for the handball rule. Apparently, the VAR decision today at the Palace Fulham game was pretty bad. I must admit, I've not seen that. That Palace pen was a joke, says Matt Henley. Yeah, I mean, because the game was on in the UK on pay-per-view, I didn't watch it, and I must admit I was off Twitter, so I didn't see any of the little glimpses. In terms of tomorrow, we've got some great games. Southampton, Everton, Wolves, Newcastle, and then we have on Monday, we've got Burnley, Spurs. There are some Sky games I just saw on the screen. Who are we looking forward to most this weekend? Obviously, there's the obvious. We want to see Spurs bang against Burnley because we've all got Kane and Son. But is there a dark horse or two you think could come good? Mine is Trossard. We've got Brighton versus West Brom. I've got Lamptey and I've got Trossard. And I think Brighton could score a few against West Brom tomorrow.
I've started Lamptey. We were discussing my defence earlier. I've started him over both Eiling and Mitchell and now Kilman. I like the look of Everton Southampton from both sides. The Southampton high line we've talked about so much. James apparently trained, so if he played, that obviously gets my interest up a bit. But Che Adams, Danny Ings, can they be the ones to break down Everton more than others have done? I think it will be a good match.
If James doesn't start, and with Richarlison out, that will be a real test for Everton. We know they've got a really strong 11, but Iwobi coming in for Richarlison, maybe Sigurdsson for James, or potentially Anthony Gordon for James if he goes down wants a winger in there, then that's going to be a real test of the squad. And then the service to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we see. But look, Everton have surprised us all this season, and I think Ancelotti will do everything he can for James to start. And remember, they're not in Europe, so they've not got a Europa League or a Champions League game to worry about in the week. Or there's no domestic cup action next week. So, he can play tomorrow, have a week off if he needs to.
I get the impression it's almost not quite the Ledley King level, but all he needs to do is turn up on a Saturday. Yeah. He can do whatever he wants in between. We'll wrap him in cotton wool. We'll put him in a bath for a week, but he needs to play on Saturday. That very much feels the gist from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the second half has kicked off. Guys, thank you for staying with us at half time. Do stay with us for the second half on Fantasy Football Scoutcast Matchday. Mute the telly. You don't need Rob Hawthorne and Gary Neville. We're going to be talking you through the game. We're also going to be touching on key FPL talking points. Who are we excited to see this second half, Seb? I'm excited to see how the Chelsea formation hopefully gets James and Chilwell forward and to get some balls in behind for Werner. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I want to see Ziyech come off the bench.
Yeah, dude, me too. I really want to see Ziyech come off. And he's been coming off with sort of 20 to go. So yeah, I hope he gets half an hour today.
Oof. Mendy has given that straight to United there. And they've not turned it into anything. But a bit dodgy there. Decent high press. But I think he's gone for... There are about 3 passes on and he's gone for the hardest one.
Oh, that touch from Havertz.
Oof, nice.
Touch from Havertz. Spins Fred. Ooh. Over the halfway line. Fred gets booked.
Good foul. Take the yellow for the team.
You definitely take a yellow there, but that's what Havertz can do.
So before we get into the second half too deeply, you asked me about Leeds earlier.
Yeah.
I'd like to know your take. I could talk all day about it, and I'm very pleased to see people coming around to the idea of Leeds. I quite like that someone captained Martinez earlier or last night, and it was a terrible decision because I like challenging the idea that I've heard it on the Scoutcast a few times. Leeds, even if they'll score goals, they're weak defensively or whatever. We chatted on Twitter about how I think they look worse defensively than they are. Mm-hmm. I think we're solid without necessarily looking it because of how we set up. But I'd love to know what someone who doesn't watch Leeds, each week is making of how we're doing, both in real life and in terms of FPL.
I mean, everyone loves what Bielsa's doing and the style of play, and it's refreshing seeing a Premier League, a team come up from the Championship, stick to their principles, but actually get results with it. So we saw it last season, didn't we? Norwich were a breath of fresh air at the start of the season because they had a certain identity in the Championship, and they kept that for the Premier League, and it worked for them early on. A few good games, but we knew they would drop off. And actually,
they lost almost their whole defence to injury as well. To be
true,
fair.
Yeah, they did. I looked at their starting 11 today for their fixture against Wickham, and it's a better starting 11 as what they had last season. But yeah, I mean, I look at Leeds and think, no, they will carry this forward. And, you know, when you look at the team, there's a few sort of, not Premier League rejects, that's harsh, but there's a few players in there that wouldn't make it in most Premier League, even mid to lower level Premier League teams. You know, you could say Bamford, you could say Costa, who didn't make the grade at Wolves, was great in the Championship for them, but not in the Premier League. Harrison on the left, who Man City have let him go on loan, and Ayling. You know, Ayling was a Yeovil, but before that, an Arsenal kid, and I was really. He is one, by the way. I'm so impressed with Luke Ayling or Ayling. He is playing centre back. We've seen him at right centre back. We've seen him as a right back, but he's brilliant defensively and brilliant going forward as well.
He has the most ridiculous engine on him.
Yeah, and that's why he can play right-sided centre back and still be a creative force down that right-hand flank. We've seen it with Sheffield United, the overlapping centre-backs, but trust me, Luke Ayling is way better than Chris Basham, right? So,
yeah, so if there's
I'm excited by him.
If there's one thing that characterises...
Oh, Pulisic getting in behind. Maguire puts his arm out, shoves him down, and no penalty. That might be a VAR thing too.
Without saying it again, I don't know if you get that one. It's an arm out.
It's a shoulder. It's an arm out, but you get away with it.
I don't know if it's a push as opposed to just trying to get body in front. You know.
Yeah, I mean, Maguire on Pulisic, size difference there, but yeah, good to see. I mean, Maguire, by the way, there's an element of Miss Trunchbull from Matilda in him. He's just a bit. He will barge anyone out the way, broadest shoulders going.
You should tell him that. I'm sure he'll be delighted to hear it.
Gary Neville's saying that the Maguire challenge should have been given as a pen, by the way, says Jim on the chat. Is that the Maguire challenge on Azpilicueta from the corner, or the Maguire? Yeah, the one on Aspi, that is great. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think we agree with that. Oh yeah, we've got a replay of it again here, haven't we?
Oh, it's such a penalty.
It just is. Yeah. You know, is it almost because Azpilicueta actually still manages to jump for the ball? It's, you know, he would almost be better when that arm goes around his neck. He'd almost be better throwing himself down. Not that we want to see that, but if you're a professional player who's, you know, not only financial but professional pride relies on winning matches, you let the referee know you've been fouled, don't you?
Aspi is so honest, and he's just an honest, no-nonsense footballer, so you know you're not going to get him from him. But you're right, Seb, if that was someone else, imagine Diego Costa. He would have been flying around all over the place,
and it's not
way
even,
before the ball comes in.
And not for a second am I saying that's a negative. If you go down to show the ref you've been fouled and you get a penalty, that's how you play football. It is smart footballing.
Yeah. United have a corner now. Again, Rashford, the only bright spark up there. Rashford, of course, by the way, guys, is playing number 9 today. He's playing by himself down the middle. We've seen Rashford in the last season or two playing wide on the left because Martial's been down the middle. Is this Rashford's best position, Seb? Does Rashford want to play as the number 9? My ideal position for Rashford is playing in a two-man, as it is for a lot of wide forwards. They rather play in a two-man attack and be sort of the number 10 off a big number 9, a bit like we saw with Werner last season at Leipzig. But in reality, that isn't a system anymore.
So has that got a ball coming in there?
Blocks, yeah.
Trying to think. Decent though. Man United have looked a lot better than that first half an hour, right?
And they were out early for the second half doing shuttle runs.
So I wonder, was it in the week that United played 3 at the back, or maybe was it potentially the week before? But I think they played 3 at the back with then a Rashford, as you say, in a 2 up front. I wonder if that, like you say, suits him because he can both go through the middle and peel off to the left, which is what he wants to do. But it's what Martial and Rashford both want to do. Yeah. So if you start one of them left and one of them in the middle, they are going to interchange quite nicely. Got Cavani warming up here. Maybe he's the one. If he just stays in that middle as you'd want him to do. He's a very good runner as well. Yeah, he's a big guy, but he's a very good runner.
He is.
If that provides people with another problem to look after, and Rashford can just drift away and take the ball with him, maybe that's exactly what he wants to do.
If they go with the 2 up top and they play 3 at the back, the only problem for me in that formation for United, and I think that could work really well for Alex Telles, and it gets Luke Shaw in at left centre-back, who's done well in that position, but Wan-Bissaka is your right wing-back. it's a non-starter for me. He offers. I don't think there's too many right fullbacks in the league with worse delivery than Wan-Bissaka. He's useless at delivering a ball into the box.
I guess like you say, his final delivery is not the one.
He's very good defensively. Don't get me
I'd say
wrong.
he has most of the rest of the attributes. He's incredible defensively.
Good engine.
And he's exactly, and good tactically, positionally as well. It's just maybe you wouldn't want him to be the one getting to the byline.
Honestly, right? I reckon I hit a ball cleaner than Wan-Bissaka.
That sounds like a YouTube video right there.
Yeah. What's the time code on this video so I can clip it for my Twitter later? Chelsea getting a bit of space now. Pulisic's been quite quiet, but all of the Chelsea front three have.
Oh, just wait for them to.
Werner block shot. Yeah.
Oof. I'd say if any of them though, is doing something, it would be Pulisic. You've mentioned a few times him looking like Hazard coming in.
True.
He's the one that's been fouled or not fouled by Maguire a moment ago. I wouldn't be surprised to see him just slip down that left and get in. He just needs to get round. I think Maguire and Lindelof have been pretty decent, right?
For Maguire and Lindelof, yes, they have been. But then you could argue that there was Havertz. You just glide so well with the ball. Again, great defensive play from Wan-Bissaka, good position in there. Havertz goes to put in Werner. Interception from Wan-Bissaka, who, there's no doubting his defensive abilities. John Tyler, hello mate. How's Bruno doing? Yeah, we're speaking a lot about the Chelsea attacking players, that saying that they're not catching the eye too much, but Bruno's been really quiet.
I would say almost complete. He had one shot, didn't he, late in the second half. Looking at the stats here, he's had 47 touches, 2 key passes. Compared to, say, Mata, who's had 36, but is playing wider. Kai Havertz has had 40 touches. So similar involvement. But yeah, I've not really seen him create all that much. I
don't like Bruno as an FPL asset this year, guys. I said it last week. There's just something about I need to see United scoring 3 or 4 goals every week to then want Bruno, and at the moment I just think United are so far off from clicking, and it might be wrong. They might nick a 1-0 today. Cavani, by the way, guys, is coming on. Pogba might be coming on as well.
I think we've mentioned this before on here, but last season when Man United went through a bit of a dip and then signed Bruno Fernandes in January, if you looked at the expected goals for and against graphs, it actually showed that dip continued until Pogba and Martial returned to the team, not when Bruno Fernandes was signed. So while individually, just ball in there, came to nothing. But while individually Bruno certainly is good, I wonder if actually Pogba and Martial are the ones that are having the bigger impact on the Man United team, and neither of them are there today.
So who comes off? I reckon Mata comes off.
Dan James
and Mata. Or does he take off Fred, who's on a yellow card? And I think McTominay could be on a yellow as well, actually.
He's probably got to be one of the centre mids, hasn't it? And then I think you keep Mata. I think he's been.
Does he put Pogba
I think Mata's been better than Bruno.
Does he put Pogba in a 2-man midfield in this game? In this game against Kante, against Jorginho, against Havertz, who's getting loads of space in behind, in between the lines. If
you're playing for 0-0, no, but what they've done so far hasn't really produced anything glaringly good in front of goal, so maybe you sacrifice that.
I think I'd put money on Mata coming off in this game, just because he's always sacrificed.
That's fair. I would take Bruno off before Mata here, just based on performance. Mm-hmm. But yeah, agreed. You probably do hold on to Bruno. Mata probably doesn't quite have the same engine as well.
And Dan James, you're right. Sorry, is Dan James even playing?
Yeah, he's done.
I can't even remember Dan James. How many touches has he had, Seb? I mean, I can't remember Dan James. He's done jackal, and he often does.
22, so half of Mata on the other side. Obviously, they're playing different roles, but compared to Pulisic, who has had 31.
Get involved, Dan James. You're a championship player playing it for one of the biggest clubs in the world.
There's an alternate universe, where Dan James signed for Leeds, and he's currently tearing it up against Villa on a Friday night.
You were so close to signing him in that January transfer window from Swansea, weren't you? I think was the deal. The deal was done. It was. We had
photos taken with him with the shirt and everything. I think everything was signed. The thing we just missed was the ratification from Swansea. And as I understand it, I'm not sure. Maybe there were a few things on our side, but as I understand it, it basically fell down due to internal politics at Swansea.
Right.
Chairman versus directors wanting certain deals to happen. people putting their weight where it meant
It
something.
would have been a lot less money. He went for like 15 million in the end to United. You were talking
Yeah,
about
we had about 8
6
million, I
was
think.
it 8? Okay, yeah, I had 6 in
possibly
my
rising
head.
to,
Yeah. Rashford again, in sort of ball over the top to Rashford, who's now got it on the edge of the box. Cuts across and he's trying to get a shooting angle, but ball played back to Fred now, and Chelsea have got men behind the ball, but United are just looking for that Rashford pace to play him down the channels, and Rashford does that. He's playing, remember, as the sole number 9, but he will drift left into that position, we know. So Pogba and Cavani are coming on.
Dan James and Mata.
Dan James and Mata.
Yep.
We called it.
So what do you reckon? A little change in shape. You've got Cavani up front. Marcus Rashford moves to the left. Possibly, maybe is that Pogba moving further forward alongside Bruno, maybe just off, looking to shuttle, even a diamond in there, something?
I mean, will he go Pogba number 10 and have Bruno wide? I don't know. We've not seen Bruno wide a lot, but...
He's moved Bruno deeper a couple of times, hasn't he?
Oh, first touch for Cavani. Mata punched Donny in anger, says HK. Didn't see that. But corner comes in. Out. Oh, wow. Cavani's first touch in Premier League football was so nearly a goal.
That was nice.
That doesn't clip the post, does it? Has Mendy got that covered? I'm just seeing the replay now. But a really good effort from Cavani outside of the boot. It's going near post. Does Mendy save it?
Oh, this is a good angle. I don't think he touches it, but he's got it covered, right?
And he's got it covered, but...
No, you say he's got it covered. That last angle, does he have it covered after the ball has gone? Could that squeeze in?
I mean, Cavani is a cute player. That's a great little touch with the edge of the boot. And there's a lot to Cavani's game that I think Premier League fans are hopefully going to see.
I think he's a lot more dynamic than people expect.
He's not just a finisher, if that's what you're thinking. This guy is a runner.
Yeah, even from things like FIFA and stuff, when maybe you see him as like, oh, he's the target man.
God no.
He will cover a lot more ground. He is a very dynamic player.
I've not watched him for years, but when he was at even Palermo in Italy, he was a wide forward, so he wasn't a number 9 or even 10. He was just rapid and good in front of goal when needed. But I'd liken him to a similar sort of player as what we see as Rashford now when he was Rashford's age. But then at PSG, I think because he had a few years playing up front by himself when sort of Zlatan left, I think people sort of began to think he was just a finisher and a fox in the box. But yeah, he's not that at all.
He was very good for them as well. He was often sacrificed to make Neymar and another later Mbappe work. But so often when he wasn't in the side, it didn't work.
Oh, there's been a chance.
Got Chilwell on the ball here, playing possibly Pulisic in.
Yeah, no, I'm down the right now with Reece James, who's going to whip in across. Oh, wow. Pulisic coming at the back stick, so close. Havertz just misses it, and Pulisic comes in behind him. So he could have had a Havertz header, 5-yard. What a ball from Reece James.
Possibly just taken away from him by the fact that the Havertz and the defender went for it in front of him, right?
Oh, Havertz gets a touch. Seb, watch this on the replay. I think he gets a touch.
Just takes it away, just glances it away.
Pulisic is very good at that. We saw in Project Restart, Pulisic got a lot of goals, late runs to the back stick from Reece James crosses as well. Brilliant. That's Chelsea's best chance of this match.
With 60 minutes gone, let's say you own no assets from either of these sides. What have you seen today that maybe thinks you will or you won't own any going forwards?
Do you know what? If Chelsea stick with this formation, and I don't know if they do, I think they play this formation against the tougher opponents and against the 15 of the 20 Premier League teams, they probably play 4-2-3-1. But if they do stick with this, Reece James is a brilliant shout, but we just can't guarantee it. And I've just sold James, but he is a brilliant shout as an attacking outlet. He's only 5.1 or 5, and then there will be some clean sheets in there too, but he'll get attacking returns.
I think for only 0.5 more and safety in either for the back or three at the back, you maybe go Chilwell.
And the set pieces.
But, yeah, fair.
But although Ziyech will be a starter. He will be a starter in this team.
When Ziyech comes in, I fully expect him to lose.
Do you know what, guys? I was looking at Ziyech the other day, some of his time in Holland. He was Player of the Year at Ajax for 3 seasons on the bounce. That is insane. This is a team that had Frankie de Jong, De Ligt, Van de Beek, some big names. And
Dusan Tadic, who was not being funny, he's been amazing for them.
Yeah, he really has been. And 3 years on the trot, it was Ziyech who was the main man, which, many of us would have guessed Ziyech was the main man. But to get Player of the Year 3 times on the bounce, special player.
His underlying stats were outrageous. Now, of course, we'd expect a little bit of regression against, you'd say, better defenders in the Premier League, but even if he lost 20% of his chance creation and...
Oh, Reece James, you beast. Reece James
nice.
Beasts Hazard. He's so strong, his upper body strength. Havertz carrying the ball.
Getting carried away there.
Werner taking on Lindelof to try and force a shot, but Lindelof does well to force him right.
It's got to go right.
Yeah, he missed a chance there, didn't he?
Oh, Pulisic was in there.
Yeah, and out
probably
for Chelsea corner.
Yeah. Just looking at bonus points now, we have Zuma on 30, Chilwell on 30, James on 29, Maguire on 28, and then a bunch of other defenders as well in the mid-20s. Probably describes this match quite well. Yeah. And I quite like, the Zuma, Chilwell, James, Maguire look. They probably have been the most effective players for either side, especially those two wing-backs for Chelsea.
Yeah, the only one that I haven't seen win a huge amount in the air and stuff or interceptions is James. So I'm surprised he's quite so high. But Chilwell and James have offered lots, and Maguire has offered lots too. Chelsea corner comes in, and it's Zuma who's under the ball, claiming for a penalty. No one else in blue is appealing for a pen there other than Zuma. But yeah, Maguire does it again, says Morsh's Ball.
Just looking at the stats for where that's probably come from.
Oh, Pogba's down.
Oh, goodness. Is it he's holding his lower back? Is that just a collision, maybe?
Was it a collision with Reece James? Because they're both down.
Quite possibly.
Well, the 60-minute marker's gone. So if you're a Reece James owner, the clean sheet's in the bag.
Just looking at where those BPS might have come from as well. Chilwell has probably created more. He's got a couple of key passes, crosses, long balls. Reece James, I'd say probably defensively. You mentioned it yourself a few times. He shut people down quite well.
Yeah. Wow, that is a collision. Reece James doesn't back out of a 50-50. My man. And Pogba comes off worse, as did Rashford 5 minutes ago. I've seen Reece James beast Traore, Van Dijk. He is still down, but yeah, he often comes off as the winner.
Traditionally as well, he's possibly not been known as the best defender.
I don't know. I've seen a few say that. I'm not so sure. Look, he's a young right back who's still learning his trade, and he's played a lot of time in midfield, so he's not spent as many hours on the training field as a right back as you may think. A lot of his time at Derby was centre mid. From what I've seen, I positionally at times suspect, but in terms of challenges on a one-on-one and reading of the game and tackling, very, very, very strong. But yeah, at times just needs a little bit of work positionally from crosses from what I've seen. But look, I can't a better defender than Trent, I think.
I think I'm a better defender than Trent. He's got everything else, but he just is not a defender.
Yeah.
He plays right back because that's where he got into the team.
Yeah.
And now he's kept it because it gives him the space and the time and the position to do what he's wonderful at, which is create. But I don't think you think he's a defender in any other way.
Which is crazy.
That's where he slots in.
Because he's arguably the world's best right back. But yeah, he's not great defensively. And look, I'm putting my money where my mouth is here. I think Gareth Southgate, come the Euros, I don't think I've got an inkling that Trent will not be the starting right back in that England team.
Do you think he gets in the team, or do you think he just isn't at right back?
If he plays a back four, I don't think he gets in the team.
Interesting. I mean, he's not been...
He looks like he's going to play wing backs though, so maybe he does. Because Southgate's just started moving to wing backs, isn't he?
Wing backs and about 4 DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Trent's not been as good this year in terms of at least the results. His underlying numbers have been good. Yeah, maybe.
I think Reece James has got a very good chance of being England's first choice right back, and Southgate loves him.
Wan-Bissaka? Or would you just save him in the squad?
Mate, he's not getting anywhere near the squad. Trippier, Walker, Trent, Reece James. There's 4 right backs there that are all way ahead of Wan-Bissaka, surely. Fair. I just really dislike the guy in terms of as a footballer, and from some stuff I saw in the press this week, I don't like the human either about Wan-Bissaka. Have you not seen it? Oh, it was no. One of his ex-girlfriends. Check it out and Google it online. It was sending screen grabs to some of the messages he had sent her, and it was pretty appalling behaviour.
That's not great. I'd caution that context is always important.
Yeah.
We want to make sure the full story is known there, but
I mean, they might not even be real.
Here-
They might not even be real.
Exactly, but I wouldn't want to judge a man before I know better. But I hope it's not true. If that is true, that's disappointing.
Yeah, and also just let's judge him on his on-field ability. And I think he's a very steady, good right back. Was he worth 50 million? Is he going to be an international? Is he going to win United trophies? Is he going to be a long-term right back at United if they're going to go on and win things and be considered a title challenging team? I don't think so.
You could win a title with him at right back. I think.
I mean, they won it with Gary Neville, who wasn't the best going. It didn't offer, but fullback was very.
I guess
different
fullbacks are very
position.
different. Yeah, exactly.
Back then, Gary Neville didn't need to be great going forward, and he linked up well with Beckham. But
I could see Wan-Bissaka in a title-winning side, provided obviously the rest of the team has much more quality in it. I don't hate him. I think, yeah, I mean, Liverpool have won a title with a midfield that I would not say is a title-winning midfield.
Yeah, Wijnaldum.
It works for how they're set up, and I guess that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
If you just know what you're getting from Wan-Bissaka, then fair enough.
Yeah, fair point. So back to the game. We're 68 minutes in. We've not seen Chelsea bring on any of their subs. We've seen 2 changes from Ollie. Pogba's come on. Cavani's come on for his debut. Chelsea on the bench have got Ziyech. They've got... Oh, it's actually Ziyech now. He's confirmed to the Premier League he wants to be called Ziyech, not Ziyech, which is what he'd said in Holland. I'm Wan-Bissaka's lawyer and Gianni's getting a letter in the post. Look, I caveated it all. Do your own research, make your own judgments. Yeah. Is Giroud and Tammy on the bench? Are both of them on the bench, Seb?
We have, Tammy, Giroud, Kovacic, Mason Mount, Hakim Ziyech, Antonio Rudiger and Caballero.
Oh, Reece James with a good block from Rashford. Oof. Again, running in behind on that left-hand channel.
I've not really seen the game change too much since the subs. What were they, about 10 minutes ago?
Yeah. Cavani had that instant... Oh, is Rashford offside? It's a close one. But yeah, Rashford down that left-hand channel, running down, turns it in on his right foot, 10 yards out from the angle as a shot, as Palaqueta with a very good block. He's usually one that features in the bonus points system if he keeps a clean sheet.
Shout, yeah.
Absolute bonus points magnet, Aspi.
It does look like Cavani up front, Rashford off him towards the left, and then Bruno actually seems deeper than Pogba.
Yeah, Bruno getting on the trying to be more influential, getting him on the ball. But Fred and McTominay aren't moving, are they? They're fixed on that halfway line.
I think maybe, like you said, Bruno maybe in theory on the right, but doing everything but staying on the right hand side.
Yeah, Mauritius Ball has said in Holland we also say Ziyech. Yeah, but there was a video doing the rounds from Ajax where he does an interview with Ajax TV about a year or two ago saying it's Ziyech. So we all saw that and then started calling him Ziyech, and then he's confirmed to the Premier League about a week ago that it's Ziyech. But we'll go with Ziyech, and remember it's Pulisic as well. So Ziyech and Pulisic. Who comes on for Chelsea first, Seb?
Oof. Mason Mount.
Because he's not going to change the system, is he? So will he take off? I don't think he'll take Havertz off, who's been getting in between the lines.
Unless there's any fitness concerns, I think you're right. I think Mason Mount comes on. I'm not entirely sure how and where. But
probably for Pulisic. He comes on the left.
Yeah, quite possibly. You don't take Havertz off, do you? You don't.
Pulisic, who's not been playing regular football for a while, so probably, if anyone isn't ready for 90, you'd say it's him. Tammy's coming on. Tammy's coming on with Mason Mount. So okay, Werner's gonna. It'll be Werner and Pulisic off, almost guaranteed.
Which is not unfair. Timo Werner maybe hasn't done all that much.
It's Werner and Havertz off, says Jim. Okay. That's not a bad shout.
So yeah, maybe Mason Mount actually doing that in behind, not quite number 10 because of how they're set up, but probably where you'd want him to fit in this side.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. So I just don't understand the Abraham shout all the time for Frank. Giroud,
I'd like to see more Giroud.
He does it every time for France, doesn't he? We just saw him for France 10 days ago score a couple, and is he just behind Henry as in the goal scoring charts? Is he sort of second or third most ever goals for France? He's up there.
Something like that. Yeah, I forget
he
the exact,
just hit a milestone.
exact number, but
I can't remember what it was.
Someone in the chat might be able to grab it, but like you say, he just hit a milestone, and obviously longevity being an important part of that. But he's effective. When he played for Arsenal, he was as long as he was fit, he always cleared 20 goals a season.
Yeah. And he started for France in a World Cup, which they won. And yes, he
I'd
didn't
like.
score in that World Cup run, but he was absolutely influential.
Oh, he was massive in terms of Griezmann and Mbappe scoring, though.
Yeah.
I'd like to, in a similar vein to that, I'd quite like to see Giroud with then Havertz and Werner and then a Pulisic off him.
Yeah.
I think that really gives the others, Werner and Havertz are dovetailing quite nicely.
Yeah.
But if you have Giroud to do that role, both of them can try and get in and create things.
And look what Giroud did for Eden Hazard. Hazard loved playing off him. I think it was Conte towards the end was playing those two in a two, and it was brilliant. Conte, I remember, played a 3-5-2. Giroud and Hazard's best goals or times at Chelsea were off the back of Giroud. Just seeing the Liverpool team news, so I'll bring you that in just a sec. So Liverpool have gone Trent right back, Fabinho and Gomez. The partnership only played together for the first time against Ajax. Robertson left back, Henderson Wijnaldum, with Jota in the middle three by the looks of it, and then the front three of Mane, Salah, Firmino. So a very attacking lineup.
Do you think maybe 4-2-3-1 if you've got Firmino dropped in behind, say, Salah?
Very strong possibility.
Or could you even have, if you've got... Oh no, there's not really a three at the back there, is there?
Jota hasn't played as a midfield three, is he? I'm trying to think of his time at Wolves, who play a very different system, but he was never...
Off the front, wing back, or sometimes even up front, but often in a two.
In a two up front,
I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't play centre mid. We've got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain playing in there for Liverpool, but not today. Sorry, just in general.
I mean,
I think that might be a 4-2-3-1 with Firmino withdrawn behind Salah.
I mean, Firmino takes up that role anyway, often, right? Firmino we see as the number 9, but he's not actually the number 9 on the pitch. So yeah, we could see Salah playing as the central striker with support from Mane on the left and Jota on the right, though, and that's not where Jota plays either, is it, Seb?
No, he played.
I've never seen Jota
left
playing
forward,
right forward. So could Mane shift to the right? I don't know.
I don't think you shift Mane. You don't change that Robertson Mane partnership, do you?
Who's on the right then?
Could you put Salah on the right and Jota's up front?
Possible. False 9. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I look forward to. I mean, it's a pay-per-view game, but I will. You find
look
ways.
Look forward to reading about it afterwards.
Yeah, I'll be on Twitter, seeing all the clips, and I was going to get the Sheffield United team news as well. Not that many of us will care. And last season, look, we all had Sheffield United assets in our team, didn't we? I mean, we all had Baldock or Stevens at one point. We loved Lundstrom, but this season,
Lundstrom might have been one of the greatest FPL assets of all time.
Yeah, we won't get one of him for a long time. Brewster, by the way, guys, the big headline, I guess, is Brewster starts against his old club.
Oh, nice.
Ethan Ampadu starts, the Chelsea loanee. So it's Basham, Egan, Ampadu, the centre-backs, Ramsdale in goal, Stevens and Baldock, of course. And then it's Sander Berge with Lundstrom and Osborne in the middle. So Osborne getting some game time. And then the front two of McBurney and Brewster. So McBurney, remember, is the sort of bigger striker, the one that can hold it up. You probably don't want to play Brewster up front with a Sharp. So it makes sense to play him with McBurney. But still going two up top, as they always do. And no doubt those two forwards will be subbed off at some point, and Sharp will come on, or is McGoldrick benched? I'm not so sure. Rashford, by the way, in the book. Yellow
they've got Burke, McGoldrick, and Sharp on the bench. So yeah, they've got, I think, is it even 5 strikers of similar ability levels probably. So I think they rotate over the season. Maybe Brewster gets a few more minutes based on his profile, but yeah, it's a bit of lottery in there, isn't it?
The Liverpool lineup is intriguing, and I look forward to seeing where they play. And Leo Wang has said, why would you not just play Mane up top, Jota left, Salah right? Yeah, but
You need Mane's pressing, I think.
Yeah, Mane hasn't played 9 for Liverpool. So we see Salah drift as the number 9, and we know Firmino to play there. But when Firmino does go off, it's always Salah that goes there, not Mane. So I'd be surprised if that's the case, Leo. But yeah,
got a Rashford booking here, I think. Is he?
Who draws the foul? Mason Mount.
Mason Mount. That's fair enough. Just dives in.
Yeah, dives in. Good carrying from Mount. I'd love a Mount goal here. It's 77 minutes gone. It's 0-0. Everything to play for here. I think if I can see a goal, if we see anyone nicking it 1-0, Seb, who's your money on?
Oh goodness. I mean, probably United based on how it's gone, but this feels very 0-0, doesn't it?
I don't know. We've had so much late drama this season so far. I think there's There's maybe a goal in it, but yeah, I mean, we've not seen a huge amount of opportunities from either team in terms of clear cut. United have had more attempts. Mendy's made more saves. I just wonder, although I would have rather seen Giroud, I think having a bigger forward on at this moment in the game is a wise move. I don't think we've challenged Maguire and Lindelof enough with Werner, because it's a very simple game plan when you play Werner and you're not putting balls in on his head. Tammy can win headers, not as well as Giroud, but can.
Okay. Yeah,
so yeah, with Mason Mount coming in off him and full of energy. I mean, HK saying United will get a cheap pen, maybe. I just hope there's a goal in this game.
yeah, I'm with you. Obviously I'd like my Chilwell clean sheet, but it feels, the whole game feels like it's been the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like we've ever got out of that. Let's just feel each other out and have a couple of shots. Yeah. I've not seen anyone. I don't, tactically. Again, maybe Man United have moved around a bit, but they've still got those 2 DMs in. We've still got 3 at the back from Chelsea. Nothing's really progressed tactically either. We've just had changes of personnel.
Interesting that both managers have kept their system. I mean, Solskjaer might have changed it a tiny bit with Pogba and Bruno together, but Frank has been very fixed with this formation. And even his substitutions have been like for like, different types of player, but exactly the same positional position on the field. Maguire just bringing the ball out of defence, finds Pogba, who sort of drifts left as he likes to. But Luke Shaw back again, and when I look at Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, they really have been pegged back by Chelsea's fullbacks today. But and we've not seen any sort of creative threat from the United fullbacks, as we have with Chilwell and James. Pogba
absolutely
trying to find Cavani down the right, and it's Zuma with a good header. So Zuma again on the bonus point system. I have no doubt Zuma and Maguire will be up there at the top, and Reece James is probably still in the mix.
Have a little look for you. So we've got I don't know if it's very similar to last time. So we'll see. Zuma and James both on 30.
Have you refreshed?
I have indeed. Yeah. Chilwell 28, Maguire 29, Wan-Bissaka 28. So very very similar players, just a couple of position swapping.
I'll tell you what, for me, giving him a hard time, Wan-Bissaka does always feature well on the bonus point system as well, and it's because of the interceptions and the clearances and the tackles.
Defensively, he's solid.
Yeah, and
you could see him as a right centre back.
Yeah, you could, similar to Azpilicueta,
in the back three. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's weird because when United have played a back three, and they've done it a lot in the last 6 months, I've never seen Wan-Bissaka playing there. They've always used him as the wing back, and I guess
did they have someone else who could do the wing back role?
Probably not. Well, I don't know. Can you crate Dan James to be a Premier League footballer and find a position for him? Because maybe that's it.
Imagine if that's what he actually is.
He might be a Victor Moses. He might be Victor Moses, who's not good enough going forward to be a wide forward attacking player, but convert him into a wing back and he can do something. There's been a few other players over the years that have become wing backs because they're not good enough. I'm trying to think of some examples.
If Bielsa had got his hands on him, he'd probably be a centre back by now.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Bielsa and centre backs, is Eiling going to stay at centre back?
So with our injuries, so Llorente's out injured.
Yeah.
Cooper's injured. I think Cooper is imminently returning, but
Ziyech's on for Pulisic, so we're going to see cool. Mason Mount on the left, I think, and Ziyech will play on the right.
Nice.
Don't turn the game off, George. There's 10 minutes left. Kev's just let us know Greenwood's coming on as well. So it's Greenwood, Cavani and Pogba on for United. That is a strong three. And for Chelsea, we've had Mount, Tammy and Ziyech coming on. So yeah, go on, you were saying, centre-backs, Leeds injuries, Eiling will stay there for a bit?
Cooper's injured and in theory returning, but he seems to be carrying something. He's had a couple of injured in warm-up or not quite fit the last couple of weeks. So I think maybe he's carrying a little niggle. Diego Llorente is out injured, but not too badly will return. I think you might see a couple of weeks of Eiling at centre-back, which does damage his return going forward, although potentially maybe puts him higher up in the bonus points. Exactly. We've also, that means Dallas has gone to right-back, which is where he is better. I would say this is the first time that if you have neither, consider Dallas. Alioski was very good at left-back last night, possibly one of our better players. But he's the one that's going to drop out absolutely first if anyone returns to fitness. Also worth noting that Pascal Struijk started at defensive midfield for Calvin Phillips.
Hooked.
Calvin Phillips looks to be out for quite a few weeks. But then he got subbed in the first 25 minutes. Bielsa explained it was because he was on a booking,
Yeah.
because he was seeing quite a lot of energy and dynamism in that middle. He wanted to protect him. Jamie Shackleton came on.
Who's going to play there next week then?
Pascal Strike will again.
Yeah.
Bielsa has a record for this. It's not a comment on if Strike was doing well or badly. Bielsa's just seen how the match is going and has nothing against pulling a player out. In his first season, he did it to Calvin Phillips twice.
Oh right, okay. And how did the young kid play in that position? Because he had 70 minutes in that position.
So Jamie Shackleton is.
Is he a kid?
Better going forward. He's 21, I believe.
Okay.
I rate him really, really highly. He's probably better in that
get
box.
up. That's never a pen. I think free kick.
Yes,
waved away from the ref. Book him for diving. If it's not a pen or a free kick, it's a yellow card.
Yeah, fair. So Jamie Shackleton is probably more of a box-to-box transitional player.
Okay.
I'd quite like to see him even further forward. He actually covered a couple of seasons ago. He covered at right back when we lost the derby in the playoffs. He was playing right back, I think, and was really, really good. Really good at right back. He has those attributes, similar to a box-to-box and a flying wing back. You have those attributes of an engine, good at carrying the ball, good positionally.
But Strick will play centre mid next week, you think? And this is a 4
I am
million.
almost certain he'll come back.
Okay, guys in the chat, this is a 4 million FPL defender playing DM for the next 5 weeks for Leeds. We think should be the case.
Don't expect attacking returns. If you look at Calvin Phillips' open play return, he gets nothing either.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe a little chance of bonus points if the fullbacks don't win them. But just keep an eye on when Phillips returns.
Yeah. So guys, we got 6-7 minutes plus added time, so about 10 minutes left of this football match. It's been a dire affair so far, but the only way is up. There has to be some activity. I can almost guarantee there will be a big chance or a decent chance for one of these teams. And we've been spoiled for choice on Scoutcast Matchday. We've been bringing you some worldy games. Last week we had the Merseyside derby that was full of incidences, and it was just a great watch. But today we've been a little bit unlucky. No, Brotane, Strike didn't go off injured last night. He was hooked after 20 minutes because he had a yellow card and the game was just going against him. And Bielsa came out and said that. Rhys James with a great cross. Wan-Bissaka with the clearance. Tammy's got to be getting on the end of that.
Sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, it's just a good cross from Rhys James. And it's the sort of service that Tammy loves or should love. Doesn't really find himself in a position to head that football. I don't know how far off he is from it, but you just got to be throwing yourself at that sort of stuff. Wan-Bissaka wins the header. It's out for a Chelsea corner. Chelsea corner didn't beat the first man, says Kev. Terrible.
So yeah, just to add to that Strike thing, he got booked. Bielsa saw that the midfield was looking, in his words, I think he said there was a lot of agility in there, a lot of energy in there. Basically, he could see him getting booked again or not being able to perform the role adequately, considering he'd have to protect himself from a red card. Yeah. So he just made the change. It wasn't even necessarily a comment on performance, just situation.
Yeah.
Ziyech was on that corner, I think. Yeah, is that? I've just looked. Yeah, I think he was.
Greenwood just flattens Mason Mount.
He did.
That's a yellow. It's not given. So was it Ziyech on that corner that didn't beat the first man? Was that Ziyech?
I believe it was. Yeah.
And Chelsea free kick with Ziyech over it now, or Rhys James, one of them is going to whip it in. Ziyech, of course, wearing the number 22 shirt at Chelsea.
I've seen a lot of in-swingers from here, but no, they've just played it short, and Ziyech is carrying it with James on the overlap.
Great cross, and again, Tammy gets you the front post. You're meant to be a fox in the box, and you don't ever seem to get in these positions. It's a great cross from Rhys James. His delivery's been first class, as always. Oh, out for another corner. Again, Rhys James with the ball in.
Rhys James putting it in, yeah.
It's going towards Tammy.
He's been the better look than Chilwell today. The only reservation is, the Chilwell is nailed on.
Yeah, it is. And Chilwell, I'm with you. I think because he's nailed, he's the better FPL asset. In terms of the better player, for me, Rhys James is going to be a superstar. And I think he'll start for England in the next year or two. He'll be a starter. And I think him and Trent can play together. I think one of them could even play centre mid. But Rhys James, if you speak to or hear any of the Chelsea Academy coaches speak about the young Chelsea players that have come through into this team, the likes of Tammy or Mason or even the likes of Lamptey, who was there at right back before, they all speak so highly of Rhys James. Yeah. Joe Cole says he's the best crossover football he's ever seen. And Joe Cole has come out publicly and said he's even better than Trent at crossing a football, which, fair play, Trent is the best crosser as a right back in world football. So to say that, and Joe Cole doesn't come out with that much rubbish. He knows what he's talking about. So I respect his views.
Even if he's not better, but he's second best.
Right.
It's not exactly a bad thing, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But we're blessed, aren't we? We're blessed in this country with brilliant fullbacks. There's a lot of strength and depth there.
Yeah, you can see how, what was it, 10, 15 years ago when the FA were looking at, was that a attempted bicey from Bruno there?
Was it Bruno? Okay. It looked like it was going out a play and the block came in from maybe James again.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see how we've developed that type of player. 15 years ago when the FA were looking at changing how we're playing that style with those flying fullbacks. You can see how they've all come through. Ziyech as well was on a corner from the other side there as well, just to note. So has taken one from either side. Not beaten the first man on either, but that second one had a lot nicer trajectory on it. Just got cut out of the far post.
Thiago Silva with a block from Cavani. Old PSG teammates, of course. Jim's just let us know that the Athletic have confirmed VAR checked the Maguire Aspi pen. He also says, not me, what bloody you today. Brilliant. So going into the last probably 5 minutes, if you include added time, still 0-0. Greenwood is so much better than Reece James, says Matt. Well, yeah, but I think, look, there's been a few disciplinaries there at United with Greenwood, and Solskjaer has punished him. There's been rumours that he's been late for training, he's been missing training. We know about what's happened with England. So, look, I expect to see Greenwood in this team a lot more. And in FPL, guys, I think he's dropped 0.2 or 0.3 this season. He's like 7.2, 7.3 now. He could become a good FPL option. I think he's potentially underpriced. If United start firing, he could be the bargain in that United team. He could produce similar returns to a Bruno or a Rashford, and he's a lot cheaper. We saw him do that in Project Restart.
So, Reece James going down the right again there, and we're just seeing it was Green, I guess hence the comment, Greenwood setting up Cavani for that shot that was blocked by Thiago Silva. And
Chilwell is up for 3 bonus now, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and there's what's his ownership, Seb? You're a Chilwell owner. He must be about sort of 15% owned, is he? There would have been loads on wildcards taking Chilwell in, and rightly so.
14.4%. That is 15% is great knowledge. 14.4%.
That's how many hours I spend on the FPL website every night. Kante getting dispossessed in the middle. Good sort of turnover here from United, but they're not capitalising on that extra man on that break and that sort of slow sideways passes. Yeah, there's an opportunity there for Pogba to get the ball and fire it forward to Cavani, and he didn't. Salah hasn't scored, HK. That game's not kicked off yet, mate. Don't do that to us. Loads of us have got Salah captain, so we don't want Salah chat in this group until this game's over. Thank you very much.
Even if he does score, I'm fully expecting a Harry Kane hat-trick.
Oh, don't.
I say I'm fully expecting. If I actually was expecting, I would have captained him. I think Salah has the better prospect.
But Sod's Law will mean
I was wrong last week.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what a save from Mendy. Rashford coming close, apparently. We haven't seen it yet, Kev, but thanks for letting us know. Good save by Mendy, says Jim as well. That's good. That's great for his confidence, and just for Chelsea defenders to know we've got a decent keeper behind us now.
Apart from that weird attempted pass, he's been solid today.
Yeah, very solid. And even that pass, delivery wasn't great, but the idea that he's comfortable playing out from the back is a kind of a good thing.
You allow it, don't you? If you're going to let your goalkeeper have time to pass and pick those passes, there's going to be a bad one every now and again.
Oh, so Rashford from the edge of the box goes for that far corner, that Thierry Henry bend, and it's a comfortable height for Mendy. And
Good save.
But it's a very good save.
Mendy's huge as well, so the fact that he stretches to get that and makes it look relatively comfortable, it was quite a long way from where he started.
Yeah, go gadget arms, and actually his view is pretty blocked from Reece James and someone else. You'll see in the next view, he hasn't got full flight of that the whole way.
He's like going right to try and see around the defender, isn't he? And then he has to come back left.
Petr Cech in the stands watching. Of course, Petr Cech named in the Chelsea squad list for I think it was for the Premier League or perhaps for the Champions League.
It was the
Champions League. In the 25-man squad. And Frank just said, look, with COVID, of course, you can't be too careful. This game's very likely to finish 0-0. We're into the last couple of minutes.
If anyone takes it, you'd think it's United. They put on the pressure now and are continually winning the ball back as well and getting it back up there.
Yeah, since Tammy and Ziyech and Mount have been on, Chelsea have actually offered very little going forward. I think Havertz coming off has actually worked against Chelsea. He was the one Chelsea player that was sort of playing between the lines, comfortable dribbling the ball out, and a pretty powerful runner. I was encouraged by Havertz. I know we spoke more about Pulisic as an attacking threat, but for me it was Havertz that caught my eye today. And Pulisic, is always gets in behind and comes in late into the box from the left, certainly from Reece James' crosses. But Havertz impressed me today.
For sure, I think long term, even if not necessarily immediately in FPL, he's a good look, right?
Yeah.
He's always involved. He's going to be at the centre of stuff. If they start actually putting some chances in and some goals in, you've got to think he's involved in assists or goals.
Yeah, indeed. Wan-Bissaka goes down for a free kick, but it looks like a goal kick's going to be given.
Maybe unlucky. I think it's Chilwell dives in to make a tackle.
That'll be good for bonus points. That'll top it off for Chilwell's 3 bonus. That tackle will help.
Oh yeah, no, that's just unlucky. He easily makes the tackle, hits it into Wan-Bissaka, and Wan-Bissaka goes over Chilwell. I think technically that counts as winning the ball.
So I think we'll probably have to say a fairly good point for both teams. Going into the start of the game, we thought Chelsea on paper would be looking at it thinking, capitalise on a few United injuries. But actually, the way the game has panned out, I think they will definitely be taking the draw. And you'd say United probably the same, Seb?
Yeah. I mean, as a Chelsea fan, are you happy with this? You take your 3 points elsewhere, maybe?
I'm just a little bit underwhelmed at the moment with Chelsea. The draw against Seville was a good starting point for a clean sheet, and we're getting another clean sheet today. So look, if we go back to basics and we work from the back and we think sensibly, this is improvement from Chelsea. A team that were conceding goals for fun. We've invested in the back. Mendy's look good, Thiago Silva's look good, and Chilwell's look good. Could they be the 3 big signings for Chelsea this summer?
Kante just killed an attack for you there. It was good play from Ziyech and Chilwell, and Kante's just lost it, and now Man United are coming back forward.
Oh, the full-time whistle's gone. Thank you for letting us know, guys. So it's 0-0. But yeah, Kante can do that, Seb. I mean, I love the guy, but he's not the best quick passer in the world.
It's an interesting one because at Leicester, he was never like a sitting DM. He played alongside Drinkwater, and his job was to be the ball winner, to be everywhere and recover the ball and lay it off. And he was incredible at that.
Yeah, he was not a Makalele.
Yeah, exactly.
So many just thought he was because he was small and French. And no, this is not a guy that's there to boss play and dictate the tempo. He was not the pivot, as you say.
Or even to shield.
Yeah,
it was almost the opposite. He was all over the place. He never held a position, and they're like harrying. Yeah. And then when he first joined Chelsea, he continued that, and I think he was at Chelsea. He won Player of the Year, wasn't it? So he continued that. Maybe. Yeah, because I think Mara's got it at Leicester, and then so he got it at Chelsea. Right. Maybe people felt like he was owed it from the previous year, but he continued that great form.
And they won the league. They won the league first season.
Exactly. But ever since then, I feel like his role hasn't necessarily changed all that much. He just sees more of the ball and less of maybe doing the defensive side, potentially because he's next to Jorginho, who sits in that hole and instead is looking up and picking up the passes and intercepting stuff. It just feels like he's never been as effective. And we know he's not maybe the best with the ball at his feet as he was in those first couple of years.
Yeah. Maurizio Sarri got so much stick for playing Kante out of position. It sort of played him as on the right of a 3, box to box. But no, he was winning the ball. He was really good under Sarri in that first season, was winning the ball high up. And as you say, like at Leicester, he was just there to disrupt play and to win the ball. So bonus points as it stands, I think is Zuma on 3, Chilwell on 2. Thiago Silva and Maguire on 1, but that is subject to change.
I've got Chilwell further behind now. I've got Zuma on 33, Thiago Silva and Maguire on 29, Wan-Bissaka, James and Chilwell on 28. So there's a chance he's just going to miss out.
Okay.
It might be one of those that we'll see an update in an hour or so's time and know for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've got Zuma on 3, Maguire and Thiago Silva on 2, and then Wan-Bissaka and James on. And Chilwell on 1, so yeah.
Although they wouldn't get the 1, I think, because it would be 3 and 2, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So we'd see Maguire, Thiago Silva and Zuma getting the bonus. So 3 centre-backs over the 3 full-backs, all trying to get 1. So yeah, interesting.
So what do you make of that going forward? We said early on that we were maybe more interested to see what this meant for either team in the future as opposed to necessarily today. Well, I'm glad we weren't worried about today because not much came of it. What do you reckon going forwards?
I think going forward we can now start to look at Chelsea defenders as a more reliable option. A clean sheet against Seville, clean sheet against United, and potentially a shift in system And that is key. I want to see in the next couple of games against weaker opposition, do Chelsea go back to a 4-2-3-1 or do they stay with this back 3/5? But one or two players caught my eye. I've always thought I want to bring in a Chelsea midfielder at some point, and that time isn't yet because I need to wait until we see goals. And I was always thinking it would be Pulisic or Ziyech was the one I was really excited about. But the more I've watched this season from Havertz, it looks... For me, he's edging it at the moment for the one that I will be looking to bring in at that price point when they start clicking as a team. Obviously, that's subject to other players hitting form and scoring goals. But the one I think I've got my eye on now is Havertz. Now, after watching today, I thought he was really useful today. Plays between the lines, very comfortable. I think he'll start to link up really well with Werner, as we've seen for Germany in recent weeks. So I'm excited about him and potentially Chelsea defenders too. Seb, what about United for us moving forward?
I know you're not the biggest fan of Bruno, and obviously he's not got a penalty today and maybe looked a little less involved. I thought more involved once Pogba came on, even if just picking the ball back up as he goes. I think we know it's Bruno in the United's team. If you back them to score goals from the penalty spot or not, Bruno's probably involved.
Over Rashford?
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe a little expensive.
Save a little bit of money on Rash.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's 1 million and penalties versus 1 million cheaper and not penalties. While he's playing in midfield and yes, he's playing up front, that looks attractive on paper, but realistically, I don't know if it actually changes his output. I think he probably gets the same chances from the left as he does up front.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Maybe Tellers long term. See how Luke Shaw pans out at left back. Maybe he's the one.
I was gutted when Chelsea look. I think Chilwell's a very good signing for Chelsea Football Club, but the left back I really wanted was Tellez. I think he's brilliant. Going forward, he's just incredible.
Worth noting that a lot of his attacking returns at Porto came from set pieces and in particular penalties.
Penalties, yeah. Don't be blinded by the numbers, but even if you've watched him at Porto, you just see how attacking he is.
Oh, yeah.
He is that Brazilian fullback, and you think back to kind of years gone by of Roberto Carlos or Cafu or Marcelo. He wants to bomb on. He's a Brazilian fullback, and we'll offer loads going forward. And again, the other one I really liked, the left back that was up for grabs, was the one Spurs got, Reguilon. I think he was brilliant for Seville. I was really surprised Real Madrid let him go. I thought they'd recall him after such an amazing year.
Just Mendy headed him, I guess.
But I mean, look, I haven't watched enough of Real Madrid, and I know
Mendy's very, very good.
Yeah, I've heard that, and you don't play for Real Madrid and France if you're average.
He is good technically, very good positionally, and very good physically to go along with it as well. So he knows where he should be, and he gets there.
Right. Okay. And I've watched Reguilon a lot, and not Mendy at all. So yeah, to be fair, I can't comment on that. But yeah. No, I digress. But Chilwell was decent, is still a good signing. And look, just the headline from the game, guys, we should probably just touch on it. Chelsea should have had a penalty. And that Maguire incident on Azpilicueta has potentially cost Chelsea 3 points. It's another big decision that they potentially have got wrong. So look, in a stalemate and a 0-0, the big headline, unfortunately, it's VAR again. And
worth noting that would have been Jorginho probably taking it
and scoring.
I think he's been in the lineup every week. I think I said to you a couple of weeks ago I thought he'd miss out eventually. It's starting to look like Jorginho and Kante are your pivot or your two, depending on the formation.
Yeah, and in the Champions League, when Azpilicueta didn't start and Reece James was at right back, who was our captain on the night? Jorginho, and he's in that team because he's a leader on the pitch and a good captain option too. So I think Jorginho's, will be brilliant for us this year, and I've got no doubt that he will be instrumental to any success we do have. I really like him. I'm not convinced on the twos, on Jorginho and Kante playing together, but I do think Jorginho stays in and is almost first pick in the middle of the pitch now.
So what would be everyone's fit, what would be your Chelsea lineup?
It wouldn't be 4-2-3-1 because it just hasn't looked right. But again, I don't really like the idea of playing a back three because it just means you lose one attacking player. So potentially a 4-3-3, and in that midfield three, I'd potentially try and see if I could get Havertz playing in a midfield three, as he did at times in Germany. Havertz of the right of a three, alongside Jorginho in the middle, and then maybe Kante or Kovacic on that left side probably Kante. It's hard not to put Kante in. I'd have Reece James at right back and Chilwell at left back, and then my centre back pairing would probably be Zuma and Thiago Silva. But look, Azpilicueta's brilliant when he plays right centre back. I've always thought, could Azpi play in the back too? We haven't seen him as a centre back. Could he play alongside Thiago Silva? Maybe, because I love the guy. You don't have to be tall to be a centre back. Look at Cannavaro. He wasn't.
And worth noting that Thiago Silva was pretty solid today. A couple of really important interceptions.
Very solid. And then my front three would be Ziyech on the right, Pulisic on the left, and Werner as the 9. But if that doesn't work, then I'd look at playing Werner off of Giroud and changing the system again. Because we know Werner did so well at Leipzig playing off a big man most of the time.
I'd like to see, even if you never start with him, I'd love to see Giroud just rule off the bench on 65 minutes. Just almost no matter what's happening in the match. It just seems like a great way to switch it up front. Even if you move Timo Werner left or whatever you do, it just changes the dynamic of your attack so much.
Much better impact player than someone like a Tammy Abraham for me. With Giroud's experience, and he will put himself on centre backs that are tired 70 minutes in, and Giroud can still offer that. And we saw him do it a lot, even at Arsenal as a sub. Come on and make a difference, and he's done that at Chelsea. He's done it for France. He starts for France a lot, but he can do it, but Frank doesn't seem to fancy him. It's a shame. We should see. I think Chelsea's definitely one to keep an eye on. In terms of FPL assets, both for United and for Chelsea, I'm steering clear for the time being until I start seeing them consistently score 2-3 goals each week. And then you look at the likes of Bruno or Rashford or Pulisic or Havertz. But until then, I need to see consistency from these teams in terms of attacking numbers and goal threat. Are you the same, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, I've got Chilwell for Chelsea, obviously. As you mentioned, looking a bit more solid defensively helps. I like his attacking output, although losing set pieces quite clearly to Ziyech when he starts. He's returned me, if he's getting 6 today, maybe a little more than 6. I think he got 3 last week. He's returned me 9-10 points in a couple of weeks. That's all right. Yeah. I'll carry that forwards. In terms of United, it just doesn't interest me. I don't see anything there that makes me think I'd rather drop a James, a KDB when he's fit, a Salah or a Son, even a Grealish.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you on that. It's been a pretty dull affair at Old Trafford today, but thank you for joining us on Scoutcast Matchday. We will be back next weekend with a game that promises to deliver, I'm sure. We'll see more goals. I think this is only the second 0-0 we have seen in the Premier League so far this season. The first one was Monday night when Burnley took on West Brom? And of course, we knew that one would be the first 0-0. So it's been till game week 5 till we saw the first 0-0. But unlucky we've had the same again today. But thank you for joining us. We'll be back. Good luck if you've got a Salah captain shout later this evening. We've got half an hour.
We're right there with you.
I really need Salah to deliver. Come on. And if you haven't got Salah as your captain, then hopefully you're hiding behind the sofa, because today is going to be the day he goes chicken oriental, I'm sure. So good luck, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Seb. And we will see you again very soon. Goodbye.